Support your best life today with Neovitin Original Formula Multivitamin. Available at your local Deerbergs, Schnucks, select independent pharmacies, and online with our easy-to-use monthly subscription at neovitin.com. That's neovitin.com. neovitin.com.
Responder Rescue is serving area first responders, and all this month they're hosting an ATF raffle. Mark Cox here. Join us in supporting Responder Rescue as part of our First Responder Spotlight. Learn more at 971talk.com.
This hour of the Mark Reardon Show is sponsored by Gamma Tree Experts. Your trees deserve the best care. Call Gamma Tree Experts.
Look, I think the best phrase is simple. It ain't working.
The Mark Reardon Show.
All of this woke world that we're living in right now is not working.
Why are you guys bullying me?
Mark Reardon.
Say, presidents can't do much.
I'm done. Do what you want. Pull the plug.
This is the Mark Reardon Show.
Yeah, and it's a very, very lonely Mark Reardon show this afternoon. Ethan Hannaford is sticking with me. Everyone else has jumped ship, though, here on Veterans Day, which is a holiday. It's an Odyssey holiday, Ethan. And, you know, you and I decided that the mission that we have here on the Mark Reardon Show on 97.1 FM Talk is too important to take the day off, even though it's like a beautiful day, right?
Yeah, who do these people think that they are, thinking they can take a holiday off? Gosh.
Truth be told, 2 weeks ago I went to Houston, Texas to visit my new grandson, and I came up with this master plan with Tricia, one of our bosses. I said, look, how about if I don't take off Veterans Day, I'll work on Veterans Day with Ethan, because I wanted to work with you, and we switched that day off. So that's what happened here. But we don't even have traffic reports. Sue's going to enjoy the day off. Fred's going to enjoy the day off. I saw everyone yesterday. We had a great time at the Veterans Day Parade in Florissant. What a beautiful weather. Beautiful weather. We had a good turnout there. Lots of people showing up, and we're definitely going to highlight a lot of things relating to Veterans Day today.
Much better weather yesterday than it was on Saturday, I can say.
Thank goodness.
Yeah.
Yesterday and today are just, picture perfect.
Amazing.
There's no doubt about that. One thing, on Veterans Day, I noticed a couple of things, and we'll get into a lot of these things today, but I wanted to share a little concern that I have. I watched Saturday Night Live over the weekend. I have a bunch of audio from some people who are a little unhinged in the aftermath of the election. As I indicated, we got a bunch of stuff here to focus on Veterans Day, and we'll get to that here in a second. But this was Jimmy Fallon's tweet from earlier this afternoon. Now, we saw Jimmy Kimmel crying last week. We saw what's his name on CBS, Stephen Colbert. He's just doing his Stephen Colbert thing. Look, his audience is a bunch of woke.
Nothing new with him.
No, nothing. But Jimmy Fallon said this. I thought this was interesting. We're back with an all-new show this week, or all new shows this week, and tonight's audience is made up entirely of veterans, active military, and their families and friends. Thank you for your service. #Fallon tonight, #Veterans Day. Which, by the way, first of all, let me say to Jimmy Fallon, that's awesome. That's amazing that you're doing that. But here's my my word of caution was, whoa, Jimmy, slow down and be careful here. You're going to have a studio full of Nazi Trump supporters. I mean, honestly, think about it. I don't know. So he was off last week, I'm assuming, because he says we're back with new shows.
Right.
How do you address the election with a bunch of military families in the audience without potentially doing harm to that audience? I thought that might be an interesting moment. Did you watch Saturday Night Live over the weekend?
I watched a very small clip of Bill Burr's opening monologue where he was talking specifically about the election. That's all that I heard from him.
Okay, so, it was interesting. Let me kind of get into this a little bit because I was curious. And, I'd heard some reaction. I had read some things on Twitter. I'm thinking, is Saturday Night Live going to try to be funny? Now, I had some hope because Bill Burr was the host. He's one of my favorite comedians. I think he's very funny. I've seen him a couple of times live here in St. Louis. So the hope that I had for maybe kind of cutting into some of the nonsense was because I know Bill Burr. So they did their cold open. The cold open is different than when the host of the show comes out and does the monologue after the cold open. The cold open was extremely weak from a variety of perspectives. They basically, and it's not even worth playing audio for those of you who missed it. It's basically a bit where you have the current cast members up there saying, hey, we supported you all along. And they're trying to joke around about not being on the hit list because I guess they genuinely believe that Trump and the new administration, which, by the way, is taking shape in a very interesting way, is going to line them up for executions. I have no idea. So they did that opening bit, and it wasn't funny. And here's the other thing that's very disappointing. I'm very curious to see Sue's reaction to this if she saw it. This has been the funniest in the last 2 months that SNL's been in a long
100%.
time because they had the former cast members and Maya Rudolph and Dana Carvey and then Jim Gaffigan coming back. And he wasn't even a cast member, I don't think, at SNL, playing Tim Walz. I'm desperately going to miss that. But they do this opening bit, and they have Dana Carvey come out, and he's playing Elon Musk. And there was nothing about it that was funny at all, like nothing funny. So I thought, Dana Carvey, you just had this amazing comeback. Not that he's completely faded away from the scene, but he did such a great job of playing Biden. And now they're going to take that off the table and have him playing Elon Musk in a very non-funny way. But what happened was, this was interesting. Bill Burr comes out, and I'm gonna play you how he started his set, because I'm looking for fireworks, right? And this is how it started the other night.
Yes, nice to be here on such a fun week. I know. I don't want to hear it. I don't watch politics. So we're going to keep it light. All right? Here we go. All right. Well,
it kind of starts here.
Over the flu, which is fantastic. You know what I mean? Had it last month. Whenever you have
now,
the
I can
flu,
play
like,
more of this, but there's nothing to this bit whatsoever. And what happens is, this is my sense with Bill Burr. And, you know, look, as a host, you got to sometimes feel what's working and what's not working. I think that Bill Burr, this is my philosophy. Maybe someone will ask him this. I think what happened is he thought, you know what, I'm going to avoid all this stuff because we're going to try to lighten the mood and, you know, just do something funny. We're going to talk about the flu and COVID. It didn't work. So at a certain point, about 3 minutes into this, he pivots. Now, why did he pivot? Well, why didn't he just start with this stuff to begin with? So you hear the pivot here.
My problem is I didn't get the flu shot. You know, I'm old school. I kind of still do the vaccine thing, you know. I know some people like it, some people don't, you know. I don't know. It's a weird thing, though. If you get it, what do? You side.
Not working, right? It's not working. It's not funny, but listen.
You know, if you don't, then you're aligned with people who don't wear shoes on an airplane. All right, let's get to what you all want to talk about.
Here we go.
All right, ladies, you're 0-2 against this guy.
Yeah, so did you hear what he said? He said, ladies, Claire, hold on here.
Let's get to what you all want to talk about. All right, ladies, you're 0-2 against this guy.
Wait, why wait 3 minutes in? So then he finally starts on the election stuff.
0-2. All right, but you learn more from your losses than your wins. So let's get into the game tape. All right, ladies, enough with the pantsuit. Okay, it's not working. Stop trying to have respect for yourselves. You don't win the office. Like on policy, you know? You gotta whore it up a little.
So then he kind of is a little funny here.
I'm not saying go full Hooters, but find the happy medium between Applebee's and your dad didn't stick around. Yeah. All right?
So, Ethan, you're laughing here. The audience is laughing.
Okay, and I know, listen, I know a lot of ugly women, feminists, don't want to hear this message. But just tease them a little bit. Make a farmer feel like he's got a shot.
You know, Bill Burr really missed it. I think that was funny stuff, right? But he had the opportunity to go in there with guns a-blazing, and I think he chickened out at first. Now, look, the audience, compare, depending on what your ear is going to tell you, if you listen to the opening and then you listen to when he really pivoted, the laughter is dramatically different. No one was laughing in the first part of that.
Oh, 100%. And that's why I said, you know, earlier when we were discussing this, I said, yeah, I saw the monologue and I thought it was hilarious. And you were like, did we watch the same thing?
Because the clips.
And I watched the specific part talking about the election, which was really funny. And I think that, like you said, his thought process was, let's see if we can
and it
keep
didn't work.
off election, and it totally crashed and burned.
Producer emeritus David Klein sent me the clip this afternoon, and I hit it, and the same thing happened. They started it. Okay, it was Bill Burr's Instagram. Okay, let's get into what you guys are here about, but he didn't include the first 2 minutes. But that was just kind of an interesting observation. Now, the nonsense that's been going on in the aftermath of the election kind of continues, and one of the themes here this afternoon will be maybe it's one of the themes of the show, period, the inability to accept what happened and the lack of the understanding of the media complicity. I think that's really an important part, and I'm going to get to all of that here as we move on down the next few hours. Let me kind of explain what's coming up here, though. Mark Sundlov is coming up. He is the director of the Soldiers Memorial right here about 100 yards from where we're sitting right now. Ethan, we're going to talk about some stuff related to Veterans Day. My friend Chris Smith, I've shared Chris's story many, many times before. He was shot in the head 3 years ago, the night before Thanksgiving. The woman that he was with was killed. His story was featured nationally in an episode of 48 Hours a week ago. He is in Chicago right now, or on his way to Chicago for a stem cell treatment to hopefully restore the use of his legs, and he's going to give us some details on that. We have Mike Morrow, who's the mayor of Grafton and is very close with Sue Sue Thomas. Sue will not be here today. She loves Mayor Mike, and Mayor Mike is putting this amazing D-Day National Memorial Military Ascent together in Grafton, which is going to be mind-blowing. I mean, this thing is going to be such a great destination for the entire planet to come and visit here in St. Louis and Grafton. I'm so excited about it. When I first heard about this, I couldn't believe how cool it was. And you're going to hear more about it here this afternoon. We got Cusumano. Hey, how about the sports weekend, Ethan?
Loaded.
Are you kidding me?
Loaded.
You know, I fell asleep last night during the Lions game, and I missed their comeback.
Oh.
But I heard that was pretty good, too.
It was phenomenal.
Here, let's just throw this in here, Mitch Holthus.
Lutz waiting for the snap. Laceman is down. Lutz's kick is blocked. It's blocked. It's blocked.
Yes.
The Chiefs blocked the kick. They're going to stay undefeated.
They had that game lost, and
Makes-
all of a sudden Will Lutz misses. Well, he didn't miss a chip shot. He was blocked, which was great special teams play and amazing for the Chiefs.
There's something about the Chiefs that you have to tip your cap to them, that they find ways to pull these out of the hat. But, man, it makes me so mad. They are the worst undefeated team of all time halfway through the season.
They
and
might
they're
actually
probably
be.
still going to win a Super Bowl.
Now, I don't know about that, but you know what? This does give you a cushion. Every team is going to lose games that they're not supposed to lose. Look, I don't think Houston should have probably lost that game to Detroit, even though Detroit's a really good team and a Super Bowl contender, but they had that game last night.
Did you see how many interceptions were thrown yesterday?
No. In the whole league, you mean?
7 total in the Lions-Texans game.
Oh,
Jared Goff
he
threw
had
5 interceptions.
Yeah, he had 5 in the first half.
Through two and a half quarters, there
Right.
were 7 interceptions thrown.
Yeah, that was bad. But we'll get Cusumano on that. We also have, the reason I wanted to bring it up, Matt Pauley from the KMOX side is going to join us, talk a little sports on this Veterans Day. And then Christina Strait with Strait Realty. This is totally off realty, but she has a podcast about houses that might be haunted. And it's interesting to me because, honestly, Ethan, I had this house in South St. Louis, not too far from where Sue lives in Holly Hills. And the people that bought the house claim that they think they've heard things upstairs and that it's haunted. I never had any experience like that. So I don't rule these things out, but we'll get to all that. All right, on the administration front, I got so much to cover here. Let me see if I can keep things straight. The cabinet is taking shape. Lee Zeldin has just been named by former President Trump to be the head of the EPA. Elise Stefanik, Congresswoman from New York, is going to be the UN ambassador. And then our friend Tom Homan. Tom has been a guest on this show many, many times in the last, I'd say in the last 8 years. He served under President Trump. He was the acting border director for a while. He's going to run the show now. And the left is losing their mind. Why? Well, because Tom Homan is going to deport people like President Trump promised. And a lot of us support that at this point. But look, they are losing their minds over this. Here's Scott Jennings on CNN talking about it because they know that he's actually going to do the mission and sort of do what they said they were going to do.
Well, first of all, I think Mr. Homan is the exact right choice, and I'm glad the president has moved on that so quickly because it was such a big part of his campaign. Number two, look, there's a whole bunch of people in this country that don't need to be here. In fact, there's, I think, 1.3 million people who've already received deportation orders from federal courts. They've already had due process. They need to leave, and so there's a good place to start. There's a whole other bunch of people who are here that we know have committed violent crimes, either where they were or since they've been here. They need to be sent away as well.
So he's right about that. Jennings is right about that. And this is where, I'm going to see if I have a few minutes here to go over the a fair amount of confusion from some friends of mine from the weekend. I may have more time to do this in the 5 o'clock hour, but it's interesting because, and I mentioned this last week, and maybe I just have more friends that live in the liberal stratosphere, and that's possible because I have friends in entertainment. I have a lot of music-related, music business friends.
You know a lot of people, Mark Reardon.
I know a lot of people, but I do have a fair amount of people that I know on what I would call the progressive left, and the reactions on the progressive left are really quite stunning. And, let me give you a couple examples here. And this is, I usually I would say something along the lines of, well, this might be isolated. It's not isolated. I see it out there. I have examples of things that have been written to me, specifically to me, and I'll give you those maybe as the show moves along as well. But here's an example from the interwebs.
And people of color and poor people and gay people and all the people that I care about aren't going to be safe in America. Neither the are you guys. Just because you won doesn't mean we don't remember who the you voted for. You're not in the clear. And just please don't test your gangster on me because you will end on a stretcher, gone forever.
Now, see, if someone on the right would have done that, they would have been arrested for threatening people. But she goes on here.
So serious. Nobody can talk to me unless you want to swing. If you want to fight, text me, call me, whatever. Anybody else, stay the out of my face. And if you voted for Trump, literally, please delete me, block me, get rid of everything of me, or step to me so that I know what's up and I can handle you how I see fit. Please just come forward. We know. Just tell me or leave. Please. The door.
The door.
And I have so many examples of this. Again, some related to some messages that I've gotten. I was looking for this text message. I had someone yesterday that, I can read this one here because I was actually just texting a friend of mine. This is a person who did not support Trump in any way, shape, or form, but this is also a person that's not insane like some of the other people. And a friend of mine who's a big Steelers fan. How about the Steelers, by the way?
What a win.
Unbelievable.
What a win. Russell Wilson.
There's a guy who is friends of mine, and he's a Steeler fan. He said, my friend and Steeler buddy has a twin brother who is gay. Watching the Steeler game today, he showed me a text from his brother. The brother is disowning his entire family because they voted for Trump. And there you kind of have it in a nutshell. Now, do these things calm down eventually?
You hope so.
I don't know if they will, but we're going to keep talking about it here on a Veterans Day edition of The Mark Reardon Show. I should mention, Sue is off today. We have no traffic. There's nobody downtown, so you're fine.
Follow Mark on Twitter at Mark.
City, but let's be honest, the commute, not so much. That's where the free Odyssey app can help. Download the app and follow your local news station so you can get the latest traffic reports or find if your train is on time before you walk out your door. Knowing all this gives you time to think about the essential things like, do I have time to get coffee? Download the free Odyssey app and search your local news station. That's AUDACY.
On advertisements. Past results afford no guarantee of future results. Every case is different and must be judged on its own merits.
At Onder Law, we deliver big judgments for the little guy. We've negotiated over $5 billion in settlements. Onder Law takes on the biggest industries and holds them accountable. We've won millions for victims of truck accidents, drunk driving crashes, and workers' compensation. Call Onder Law, 314 or 618-9 million. That's 314 or 618-9, all zeros.
Have you ever been told you can't get into the water for 30 minutes after eating because you can cramp up and drown? And then you were told if you eat watermelon seeds, you'll grow a watermelon in your stomach. Swallowing gum it'll stay in your stomach for 7 years. Don't sit too close to the TV or you'll go blind. Wow, these aren't your peers saying this is your, people you're counting on that you believe and you trust. Or the air conditioning that we have now isn't good enough for you, so you need to do this? I don't know, guys. If you have questions, you have doubts, and you want common sense approach to, heating and cooling your home affordably, call me, Bart Inman, one real easy number, Missouri and Illinois, 314-293-2600, or bartinman.com. That's Bart with a B, Inman with an I.com. God bless.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-575-6986. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS.
Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start.
Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems.
We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau.
You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com or call 800-575-6986. That's 800-575-6986. Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
Hey guys, Glover here for my friends Mark and Neil Gelman from the Gelman team of eXp Realty. If you want immediate cash for your home or to see what your home is actually worth in today's market, find out for free from the local experts. 314-336-1991. Go to thegelmanteam.com.
It's time for a $98 furnace tune-up.
And this portion of the show is sponsored by Jerry Kelly Heating and Air.
45.
We had a great first term, a great first term.
47.
God spared my life for a reason.
Donald Trump elected President of the United States again. It actually happened. Mark Reardon on St. Louis's home for conservative talk.
Yeah, this will be fun today with Sue off. We're going to hand off Sue's news to Ethan Hannaford, who is our relatively new producer. He took over for Abby a couple of months ago, so Ethan's going to do Sue's news. We have the mayor of Grafton, Mike Morrow, in the next hour. Details on the construction of the National Memorial of Military Ascent, which is really going to be amazing. And then along the lines of Veterans Day, Mark Sundlov is with us, who is the director of the Soldiers Memorial downtown. I'm sitting right across from the Soldiers Memorial on a beautiful, beautiful day in downtown St. Louis. Mark, how are you this afternoon?
I'm doing great, Mark. Thanks for having me.
Boy, you could not have wished for better weather on this day, could you?
No, absolutely stunning. And yesterday as well. It's been just fantastic. Beautiful day for Veterans Day today.
Well, we did a parade yesterday in Florissant, 97.1 FM Talk did, and it was great. We had a great turnout in a lovely, lovely community. You got a lot going on over at Soldiers Memorial. So give us some details here this afternoon.
Yeah, so we did the annual parade. St. Louis Parade was on Saturday. This kind of the traditional day, which so unfortunately we did get the rain Saturday, but coming into today, we have the museum and the memorial are open. We did a special ceremony this morning with the Alliance Française. This is the French alliance who. Over in the UK and Europe, they still remember this day as Remembrance Day and look back to World War I and the losses and sacrifices that were made there. So they come every year and do a wreath laying here at the memorial.
Oh, wow. I did not know that. That's interesting.
Yeah, it's very moving. In the U.S., Veterans Day has kind of changed from that original Armistice Day to incorporate all veterans who have served at all times and a little bit more celebratory. But for a lot of Europeans, it's still a day of almost like our Memorial Day where you're remembering those who you lost. And so they come each year and do that wreath laying, and it's a special day.
I love to hear that. And, along those lines, let me just say this, that, I was in Europe for the first time in a while about a year and a half ago. I went to Barcelona and to Madrid. I got to reunite with some friends from Valencia, Spain, that I'd visited with when I was 18 years old, way back when. And we got into a little bit of a discussion about not necessarily politics, but just the state of the globe a year and a half ago. And I came away with a very strong impression that some of my friends, at least in Spain, they may have had greater appreciation for the sacrifices that American soldiers have made over, the course of history than maybe even some Americans. They had deep appreciation for, the freedom that we afforded them. And I was rather touched and impressed by that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you bring up a great point, Mark. And, I think that a lot of Americans don't really have that understanding or appreciation of just how thankful so many European nations are. Certainly our allies of World War I and World War II, but other places as well, where the American fighting soldier, has gone and fought in the name of democracy and helped people all across the globe. It happens, it begins with our really the story of our country, and it continues on to this day. So. So it's, a lot of thankfulness and a lot of respect from those countries for what we've been able to do for them. And then in return, their assistance to us as well. I think, French or France being the classic example of how much assistance they lent the U.S. military during the Revolutionary War and helped us gain our original independence. These things are always meaningful. And November 11th now for 106 years has been this very special day for remembering the service of our military. So
do you have special things that you would like to point to that people might be able to visit at Soldiers Memorial or anything along those lines, Mark?
Yeah, you bet. I think the thing that we have going on right now is it's called the Ghost Army, the Combat Con Artists of World War II. And this is a special exhibition that's here at Soldiers Memorial for the next 2 months. It's free to visit. But the Ghost Army story is, the way I phrase it is I tell people it's the most fascinating story about World War II that you don't know yet or you haven't heard anything about yet. And it's the story of the U.S. Army using multiple techniques of deception to basically confuse the Germans as we were moving across France after the Normandy landing. So we after we had landed at Normandy, about a week later, the Ghost Army came in with 1,100 men who were serving in this unit that could effectively portray or deceive the Germans into thinking that they were two full-size divisions. So that's 1,100 men portraying up to 30,000 soldiers. And
that's amazing.
Yeah.
And just when you think, I've studied a fair amount of World War I, World War II history, and that's one I've never heard about before. And if I had, I think I'd forgotten about it.
Yeah, and it was classified up until 1996. So any older adult like myself, it just was never part of the curriculum.
Right.
It's not a story because it was classified. And now that the more we learn about the Ghost Army, we really understand just how important they were to the war effort. A couple of notable things, as Patton had moved across France, he had opened up a gap in his line about 75 miles wide, and it was very precarious, to say the least. And so they put the Ghost Army in there, and mostly through sonic deception, were able to convince the Army that hole in the line didn't exist, that there was an actual fighting unit there. And so this exhibit, delves into basically the four styles of deception that they used, which were visual deception, sonic deception, which is sounds and things that you hear. Then they did a lot of what they called radio spoofing, which was, fake radio calls going over the airwaves. And then finally their last style of deception, they called it special effects. And these were like very detailed things like wearing the correct patches, making sure that the bumper markings on their vehicles were representative of the units that they were trying to fool the Germans about. It's a great story.
That is unbelievable. And I'm looking up a little bit. I guess they were even more recently awarded the Congressional Medal of Honor for that story, because I'm doing a little homework here as you're sharing the story. That is really amazing. And it looks like there have been maybe some movies that have sort of featured this storyline. But man, you'd think that would be a major Hollywood production to focus on something like that. What a cool story.
Yeah. There is an outstanding PBS documentary. It's a 1-hour PBS documentary. It was produced and directed by a guy named Rick Beyer. And Rick is actually going to be here at Soldiers Memorial on November 24th. And there's probably not a better person in the country that knows this story better than Rick. He's been working on it for 20 years.
Well, Mark, I would love to, I have limited time because I have another guest coming up, but I would love to be able to hook up with you and Rick when he's in town and talk a little bit more about this, because that is certainly something I'd be interested in highlighting. I got to get over and see the exhibit. And you're open today, right? We should let people know. Obviously, on Veterans Day, the Soldiers Memorial is open if you want to visit.
You bet. Absolutely, Mark. I thank you so much for your time, and hope folks can come out and take a visit.
I'm going to have Fred follow up with you because I'm very interested in continuing the conversation. So Mark Sundlov from the Soldiers Memorial downtown, he's the director. Thanks again. Thank you so much.
All right. Thanks, Mark.
Take care on this Veterans Day. It's a beautiful day to come downtown St. Louis. Nobody's here. There's no traffic. Come visit Soldiers Memorial. We're going to visit with my friend Chris Smith, who was shot 3 years ago the night before Thanksgiving. An amazing story coming up next.
Down by the water, down by the old main drag.
When you're trying to find quality candidates, all the searching, screening, and interviewing can become a job itself. You need Indeed, the all-in-one platform that makes it easy to interview, screen, and hire quality people. Visit Indeed.com/credit.
Well, Wall Street was open today on Veterans Day, and it was way, way up. The market has been just rocking since the election last week. Now, what comes up must come down. We kind of know that. Everybody who invests, if you have a 401k, you've seen this happen before. So how do you make sure you have enough money to go through retirement? I went to the grocery store again today, and, there's a lot of people reacting to how much things cost at the grocery store. I went to Schnucks, got a handful of items, $65. Now, there was some steak and chicken involved in that. Maybe that was half of the $60, at least $20 of the $60. Look, people are feeling this. So the point along those lines is the money you've saved for retirement is not worth as much as it used to be. How do you manage that and still have a comfortable retirement? Thomas Helbig and the team from the Retirement Advisory Group, they're the official financial planners of this show. They'd love to help you out, and they can do that right now in person. We have put a halt on our seminars for the year 2024. We're going to pick them up in 2025, but you can go straight in and meet with Thomas and the team. 314-993-9494. The website retirementkey.com for the official financial planners of this show, Thomas Helbig and the Retirement Advisory Group.
Surprise!
Surprise!
Surprise parties, they can be fun, right? Well, financial surprises, not so much, especially when you're retired, like finding out you owe more in taxes than you thought you would, or having to go back to work to make ends meet. Maybe you think you'll be okay, but why not double check just to be sure? Call Marvin Mitchell at Compass Retirement Solutions and schedule a retirement double check. Marvin and his team have been helping families plan for retirement for more than 15 years. Call 314-373-1598 to schedule your retirement double check with Marvin Mitchell at Compass Retirement Solutions. That's 314-373-1598. Don't let a financial surprise derail your retirement dreams. Give Marvin and the team a call, 314-373-1598. Firm offers insurance services, investments, and services offered through Compass Retirement Group, a registered investment advisory in Missouri and in Illinois.
If you're planning to sell and also buy a home in the near future, I know what you're going through. Gloria Lou with Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty knows selling and buying your next home at the same time can be tricky, especially in our area. Hey, Mark Cox here. If you need to sell and buy at the same time, this is for you. Gloria Lou has several great options for her home sellers, including her Sell and Stay program. That gets you the most money possible for your current home and allows you to stay put until you find your next home. No more stress, worries, or hassles. Gloria Lou makes selling your St. Louis area home easy, and she's been doing this for more than 21 years. Why risk working with an average realtor when you can work with the best? The name to remember is Gloria Lou of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. Call Gloria today at 314-325-6888 or visit GloriaHasTheBuyers.com, 314-325-6888 or GloriaHasTheBuyers.com.
Conditions apply. Gloria and seller must agree on price and possession date.
Attention timeshare owners. This is an urgent consumer alert from the Timeshare Exit Hotline, a national company specializing in helping consumers legally get out of their expensive timeshare contracts. We're offering you a way to legally get rid of your timeshare. So if you're fed up with the maintenance fees that keep on coming and want to learn if you can terminate your timeshare legally and permanently, call today. Even if you've tried before and were unsuccessful in getting rid of your timeshare, call today and see if we can help. We offer a complete 100% unconditional client satisfaction guarantee. Make this completely free call and learn how we can help you legally put an end to your timeshare nightmare once and for all. You have nothing to lose, so call right now to qualify and receive a free consultation.
Call 800-838-8614. 800-838-8614. That's 800-838-8614.
Paid for by Airtime Media.
In Missouri, farming isn't just a profession, it's a purpose. You can feel it in our 27 million acres of farmland. You can see it in the nearly 41,000 Missourians who work in agriculture. You can hear it at our farmers markets. You can count it in the $93.7 billion it brings our state. And you can taste it at your family's dinner table. A lot of farmers in our state rely on Bayer's tools and inventions because Bayer has a purpose too. To help farmers thrive. Learn more at go.bayer.com/purpose. Paid for by Bayer.
Guys, it's time to take charge of your health with my friends at Victory Men's Health. Mark Cox here. I already love what they do at Victory. They do hormone optimization, sexual health, weight loss, even vitamin deficiencies. Now they're offering specialty cardiovascular testing and even early detection cancer screening. Visit them at one of their 4 great locations, now in Sunset Hills, Town and Country, O'Fallon, Missouri, Missouri, and O'Fallon, Illinois. Tell them Mark Cox sent you. Go to victorymenshealth.com.
The Mark Cox Morning Show.
Well, Senator Josh Hawley, obviously right now we're looking at leadership in the Senate now that you guys have clearly regained it. Who are you putting your vote behind?
Well, I'm going to support Senator John Cornyn.
The Mark Cox Morning Show.
On St. Louis's home for conservative talk. A little controversy for your afternoon. The Mark Reardon Show.
By the way, I did bury the headline on something at the beginning of the show. I was kind of running down some of the new administration. Tom Homan on immigration. Lee Zeldin, former New York congressman, is going to head the EPA. Elise Stefanik, UN ambassador. And then Eric Schmidt, our senator, along with Senator Hawley, has taken his name out of the running for attorney general. And I think that's a good thing. You need someone like that in the Senate. He's only in his second year. He still has 4 more left. In the United States Senate, he's going to shepherd through a lot of legislation for President Trump. So I think it's important that he stays there. That is a big relief. Plus, I won't lose him as a friend forever because once you get to that level, I'll never see him again. So selfishly, I'm glad that Senator Schmidt is going to be here and representing Missouri. A couple of weeks ago on 48 Hours, there was an episode featuring my friend Chris Smith. It was called Fatal First Date.
The night before Thanksgiving, they decided just to meet up, go to the bar.
He lived 65 miles away in a really small farming community.
The bar that night was very busy. The place was packed wall to wall. Chris and Leslie were talking a lot, laughing, getting along with everyone around them.
She texted me around 10 and she said everything's going okay. She did then text a second text that said, I feel like something's a little bit off or something. I'm not sure what she meant.
Was that text the last time you heard from Leslie Reeves?
Mm-hmm, yes.
Yeah, Leslie Reeves was killed, essentially assassinated. Chris was shot. He was left for dead in his kitchen, and his recovery story has been something that I have focused in on quite a bit. The 48 Hours show only had a little bit of that because they focused on the crime itself. But Chris, who, by the way, is a United States Navy veteran, is with us this afternoon to talk a little bit more about his recovery and some of the other things going on. Chris Smith, how are you?
I'm doing great, Mark. How are you doing?
I'm doing okay. Now you're on the, I see you're on the speaking tour, right? You had a pretty cool gig on Friday. What went on there?
I spoke at the Missouri Brain Injury Conference at their annual conference and spoke to, the professional panel. And I learned a lot. I love speaking, just like I love the camera and being on stage singing. But I need to slow down, especially because I only have one jaw muscle. But it was great.
Well, you're going to learn. I mean, look, it was kind of like your first official speaking gig, right? So you're going to get better at it, and you'll get kind of the feel of it. So I wouldn't be too hard on yourself. Before we get into a little bit more of that, let's recap the story. Because a lot of people listening right now maybe are familiar a little bit. Some people won't. But the way I always kind of start to share it, Chris, is because of the way that you used to call my radio show back in the day. And I think you reminded me this was probably around 2014 when you started calling. My producer, David Klein, would take your call, and he put your name up on my call screen as Chris in the Country. And I don't remember, was that something you said or was that something Klein did to you? I can't remember.
I think Klein gave it to me because I said, yeah, Dave, I'm Chris. I'm up in the country, and it kind of stuck that way.
I think he did say. So anyway, you started calling, and then for a couple of years, we would chat on the phone. We didn't know each other personally at that time. A month before the 2016 election, you called. You'd been telling me all summer, Mark, you're missing the signs. Trump's going to win. I was and I said, Chris, if Trump wins, he's not going to win. There's no way. This is 2016. You can come into this studio. I was on KMOX, and you can shave my head. And I was panicked. When those election results, last week we were talking about this because I remember being in the KMOX studio. Senator Lamping was with me and John Hancock and Mike Kelly. And Chris, as you remember, so just to make it all about me here, I was about to get inducted into the Parkway Hall of Fame. And all I could think about was, oh, my God, I'm going to be bald for that. This is going to be so embarrassing. But you call me the next day. You're the first caller, of course. And you say, dude, you don't have to shave your head. And I wiggle out of it very effectively, right?
Yeah, just like you're going to wiggle out of this one. We made a bet, do you not remember, recently when Trump declared again for this election?
Well, you refresh my memory. Did I make a wager with you?
You did. Yeah, I bet you a head shave bet.
Again on Trump?
Yeah, and you took it. Ask Sue.
No, I didn't take
so
that
refresh
bet.
your memory.
There's no way that I took that bet. There's not a chance.
You did, 'cause you said there's no way he's going to win again.
I did not say that. I did not say that there's no way he's going to win again. Now, did I place an ill-fated wager with you? I might have, but I was never insisting that he wasn't going to win again. I was hoping that all the experts were wrong. But, you called and you let me out of that. We became friends. I said my first line at the time was, hey, let's go to a Cardinals game. And the listeners will not, they will not let this go. They are angry at me to this day, and they justifiably should be angry because I weaseled out of the bet. But what happened is we did go to a Cardinals game. We started hanging out, and then we started texting. You lived up in Illinois, so it was a little harder. We didn't get together necessarily a lot, but we were talking on a regular basis. I remember 2 weeks before Thanksgiving 3 years ago, I remember you'd gone through a divorce. You were having a tough time, and we were trying to communicate, and I said something like, hey, I'll call you next week. And the next week was Thanksgiving week, and I didn't call you, and I feel bad about that to this day because Thanksgiving comes and goes. I'm up early on the Saturday before Thanksgiving, and my family's sleeping, and I noticed, and I don't even check Messenger that much, but I noticed that your mother had sent me a messenger, like a message on Messenger, Facebook Messenger.
Yep.
And she said, is this the Mark on the radio? This is Chris's mom, Chris Smith. He's been shot in the head. And my response was, wait, what? And she called me right away and then gave me all the details. And then I want to recap this as quickly as possible. So you go through your recovery. You're in a coma. And the third week of January, I get a call. I'm driving into work, and it was you. And I hung up on you at first because I didn't know who you were at the time. Your voice was all messed up. I didn't realize it was because you had a bunch of strokes, but I didn't even think I'd ever hear from you again. You call me. We shared tears on that phone call, and that's when you started this road to recovery, which is so important right now. But the story of the shooting is what was featured and your recovery in 48 hours, Chris, right?
Yes, it was. Yes.
And what was the reaction? Because we've talked a little bit around this, but I keep hearing more and more people. I've heard from several people around the country. A lot of people still watch that show, which is good. What's the reaction been?
A lot of people wish they spent more time on my recovery.
Yeah.
But
in other words, they focused a lot on Leslie Reeves, who was killed, and we understand that. But you did not get.
A lot of people complain they spent too much time on that piece of dirt bag that shot me.
Bobby Tarr, I don't even like to mention his name, but yes, piece of human debris. But it did put you on the national stage, and there was a fair amount of attention. That might be leading to some of the expanding your opportunities with speaking slots, et cetera. But look, part of the focus right now for you is getting your damn life back. One thing you said to me last week, I want to emphasize this because I think this is important. You got Jimmy Kimmel, who cannot even grow a pair. Even a trans man can grow a pair, and he's crying on national TV about a political election. Your response to me was what? Put that into perspective and slap people up the side of the head, Chris.
Well, you know what? They need to rethink their lives because being shot in the head, I mean, he's a millionaire. He ain't got a care in the world, Mark. I mean, it's
Jimmy Kimmel,
it's
of
laughable.
course.
Yeah, it's laughable that all these freaking stars are coming out and crying. I mean, Bruce Springsteen, your buddy, dude. Come on, man.
Well, I don't think he cried, but the point I was trying to make here is what you said was, look, look what I'm going through with a brain injury. You want to talk about somebody that's really suffering. You got all these snowflakes out there that are acting like their lives have been taken away from them when they have the best country in the world with the most opportunities that they've ever had. So that's why seeing your story, I think, is pretty important.
Yeah, and they puts everything in perspective. Like I spoke today, they said overcoming adversity, and they said, well, I've learned to tie my shoe with one hand, but there's teeth involved. But you know what? You just got to keep going through it and trucking. I mean, you can do anything that you can put your mind to. That was my main message today. But I mean, it's like, yeah, for these rich people whining, trying to preach to me and lecture me, and
ridiculous.
It is ridiculous.
So you said something else last week in a text. You kind of got my attention. You said that the bullet, because you still have a fragment that's in your head, and you said that the bullet is acting as a semiconductor in your frontal lobe. Explain that a little bit.
Well, okay, you know how we're seeing the northern lights here?
Yeah.
Okay, I don't believe that's ever been recorded as being this far south. It's like in Florida in the southern 48. All right, it doesn't come this far south. Now that's going to get like a little techie on you, and I'm not the smartest guy. Never was a math and science nerd, but I connected with a physicist from Rutgers University. His theory is that the geomagnetic storms do have effects on human beings, since they do have effects on animals, migratory birds, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
Well, me having this bullet in my head, And when the sun is shooting out these CMEs, or coronal mass ejections, which gives us the northern lights, it's charged protons and electrons that are literally raining down on us. We can't see them, obviously, but they're all around us.
Okay.
Well, that's affecting the bullet in my head because the bullets in my frontal lobe, our frontal lobes produce 25 watts of electricity, enough to light a light bulb, and it's using my bullet as a conductor. And it makes me tired, makes me nausea, gives me headaches, and it's just it's really weird, dude. So this is great. You're gonna love this. So I have a silver-lined baseball hat. At least it's unfoiled.
Tinfoil hat. There's you.
No,
hey.
it's not. It's silver. It's silver, dude.
Sure.
Listen,
There's
actually clothing. Listen to me. There's a clothing company out there called Faraday. They make all this clothing for this crap. It's crazy. Who knew there's a market for it?
That's very cool.
So yeah, I wear a silver-lined baseball cap. I hate baseball caps, but I love my hair like you.
Well, let's kind of talk about the rest of your recovery. You've been working your ass off trying to get the full use of your entire body. You've made unbelievable strides. You don't give up. Your mom knows that. Your family and your friends know how hard you've worked at this. But you also have opportunities for some things that are like outside of the realm of traditional medicine, and that's one reason you're up in Chicago, right?
Yes, I am going for stem cell transplants. I am going to be injected tomorrow on Tuesday with they're called MSCs, mesenchymal stem cells, which they drill them out of my bone marrow.
Yeah.
And they process them, and then they inject them up vessels in my nasal cavity that are feeding my brain, and they have the ability to hop the blood-brain barrier. It's called the BBB, and they transfer them into neural cells and then go to my damaged brain area like a heat-seeking missile and start laying down new tracks. I like to call it like train tracks, but it's like new neural pathways and fibers and all that good stuff that's supposed to wake up my left side like brand new, dude. I'll be running like Forrest Gump.
And how much confidence, though, do we have in this?
Well, Mayo Clinic, Yale, and Stanford have proved it works, and I have been in contact with the patient that these people have treated, and she was 6 years out of a stroke, a lot worse off than I was, and she's back jogging on a treadmill.
Wow, that's amazing.
So I'm pretty damn confident, brother.
Not covered by insurance, though, right?
No. I had to take a bank loan out for this. Yep.
All right, so let's look. I want to. You know how much I want to help you out, and I wish I could write you a check for the full amount, but I'm a radio guy. I'm not a TV star like Jimmy Kimmel. But let's guide people in. There is a GoFundMe. There's probably people that are drawn to your story. They should be, because it's an amazing story. You can still watch 48 Hours on Paramount Plus if you want to find out a lot about this story. But if someone wants to donate to the GoFundMe, kind of guide them in.
I'd be forever grateful. Forever grateful.
Where do they go?
They go to was a gunshot shoot. Mark, I have to look at it. Hold on for a second. It is
all I did, I think, was just put in Google gunshot victim.
Crime victim shot in the head.
Right, and it comes right up. If you just put crime victim shot in the head in Google, I can do it again right now. I think it's the first thing that comes up because they probably do the geofencing. They know it's from here. Let's see. I'm going to try this again because it worked for me last week, Chris, and I want to see if it works now. Here we go. That didn't work as much. I wonder if you put your name in there.
It says crime victim who was shot in the head. Yes, Christopher Smith.
Yeah. Well, it'll come up there. I see if you put Christopher Smith in there, people can. And by the way, if someone can't get to the GoFundMe and you want to donate to the GoFundMe, just email me here or hit me on Twitter, and we'll make sure that we can get you to the proper location for that.
Or they can go to my website, chrissmithmotivatingyou.com. I have it linked on there.
chrissmithmotivatingyou.com?
Yes.
Awesome. All right. Well, listen, you hang in there in Chicago. I know this has been a rough stretch, and I think we talked about this a little bit last week, but the whole 48 Hours experience was arguably a little bit more emotionally draining than you anticipated. Is that fair to say?
Yes, it was. Especially seeing the refrigerator with all of my daughter's artwork on it that she had been making me since she was in kindergarten. One of those weird parents that I would rotate it,
Yeah. No,
so I always had artwork on the fridge, man. It's like,
did you ever, when that was a crime scene, like you never went back to that because you were in the hospital, so you never saw any of that until you saw it on 48 Hours?
Correct. I have not seen anything up until 48 Hours.
Yeah, that's crazy. All right, dude. Hey, listen, I love you. I want you to hang in there, keep hope alive, and we're going to talk. Keep me posted. When you come back from Chicago, we're going to have you on again, okay?
Come on, man. You know that for a fact.
We'll see you soon.
All right, thanks, Mark.
That is Christopher Smith, and he is up in Chicago right now. He's going to get the stem cell treatment tomorrow, and I hope it goes well. Candidly, he has a lot of hopes pinned on this, and he believes it's going to work. I have no reason to believe it's not going to work, but, these things sometimes don't. And the guy has been through so much, and he keeps trying and he keeps fighting to get his life, back on track. And we kind of touched on this just a little bit, and, one of the themes a little bit later in the show is going to be the incessant whining by our friends on the left, who, by the way, still don't get what cost them the election. But you want to talk about, trauma that you're going through, you little snowflakes. That guy's got a bullet fragment still stuck in his head right now and does not have the full use of his body, his legs, etc. Think about that for a little bit. We're coming back with Ethan's News in for Sue this afternoon. Fred and Sue off for Veterans Day.
Start the golden generate hub. Sweet talk, but don't intimidate hub. Can't stop the gods from engineering. Feel no need for any interfering.
Hey, St. Louis, are you in search of top-notch cybersecurity solutions? Look no further. ThrottleNet is here to help. Ransomware attacks are on the rise, putting businesses like yours at risk. Don't let cyber criminals jeopardize your hard-earned success. ThrottleNet provides comprehensive cybersecurity services tailored specifically to your unique needs. Our award-winning customer service provides 24/7 protection to keep your data safe and secure. Take charge of your digital security today. Protect your business, protect your future. ThrottleNet.com, your reliable partner in cybersecurity.
I got a great offer for you from my friends at Zero Res. If you need the carpets cleaned before the holidays, this is the week to start booking that appointment. They have a lot of crews here in the St. Louis area, Zero Res does, but still, you want to make sure that you plan in advance. And here's the special for the month of November. When you mention my name or 97.1 FM Talk, 3 rooms of carpet clean starting at $129. Now, we always say starting at because you may have to add some biotreatments, things along those lines if you have pet accidents. If you don't, you don't have to worry about that. The air duct package, $75 off. We're starting to crank the furnaces, of course. That's going to spit out all kinds of gunk into your home. If you didn't have it done in the spring before you crank up the air conditioner, if you haven't had it done in like more than 3 years, 2 to 3 years a good guy, but certainly more than 3. Book now with Zero Res. $75 off when you mention my name. 3 rooms starting at $129. A bunch of crews. They can get you on the schedule. They have the legendary 30-day gotta love it guarantee. Don't try to do this yourself. I've tried. I've failed as well. Get the professionals into your home. It's a smarter, lasting clean with great customer service. ZeroResSTL.com.
Prescription products require completion of an online consultation with an independent healthcare provider and are only available if prescribed. Subscription required. Additional restrictions apply. See website for more details and safety information.
Did you know millions of people are getting prescription medications for weight loss, sexual health, better sleep, and more, all online? RexMD.com has made getting these medications fast and easy, with free delivery of the most popular medications right to your door. Just fill out a brief survey, and if appropriate, we'll prescribe and ship clinically proven options to help with issues like weight loss.
I've lost 45 pounds so far. It's nice to get back into clothes that I haven't been able to wear for a long time.
We can also help with insomnia.
I slept through the whole night. It made me feel very well rested and ready to go for the day.
And RexMD can improve your sexual health.
I felt like a young man again. My wife is happier. I am definitely much happier.
At RexMD.com, we've made the process fast, easy, and affordable. Visit RexMD.com right now to get started. That's REXMD.com.
Annie Fry here. If you're nearing retirement or already retired, call my friends Thomas Helbig and Bob Kershaw with the Retirement Advisory Group. They'll show you how linking to the market is much safer than owning the market for your retirement savings. They are the official financial advisors of my show. Go to retirementkey.com.
You've been listening to the very popular Wellness One for many years, Saturdays and Sundays on 97.1 FM Talk. We're happy to share that we've expanded the show to 4 times a week. Yes, 4 times every weekend. Saturday at 10 a.m., Saturday at 8 p.m., Sunday at 9 a.m., and Sunday at 2 p.m. It's the same great show designed to cut through the nonsense and provide you a common sense, science-based strategy for a healthy life. So join TJ and Aaron for Wellness One. Now 4 times a week on 97.1 FM Talk.
Sue and Fred have Veterans Day off. Ethan Hannaford, our producer, is going to pinch hit with Sue's News coming up.
KFTK FM Florissant. From the Under Law Injury Lawyers, GetJim.com studio.
That's GetJim.com.
97.1 FM Talk. Always live on the free Odyssey app.
Shifting priorities at the EPA. Lisa Brady, Fox News. President-elect Trump says his pick for administrator of the Environmental Protection Agency is former New York Congressman Lee Zeldin, who's emphasizing the role he can play on the economy beginning with energy dominance.
I'm excited to get into work to implement President Trump's economic agenda, and I think the American people are so hungry for it. It's one of the big reasons why they're sending him back to the White House.
If confirmed by the Senate, the president-elect says Zeldin will ensure fair and swift deregulatory decisions to unleash the power of American businesses while maintaining the highest environmental standards. Earlier today, he named New York Congresswoman Elise Stefanik as his pick for UN ambassador. President Biden announces new health benefits during his final Veterans Day in office.
For the final time in office, President Biden marked Veterans Day by laying a wreath at Arlington National Cemetery.
It's been the greatest honor of my life to lead you, to serve you, to care for you, to defend you, just as you defended us.
The president, who was joined by Vice President Kamala Harris for the first time since last week's election, called for coming together as a nation. He also announced an expansion of cancers covered by the PACT Act, legislation providing care for veterans exposed to toxic chemicals.
Fox's Jared Halpern. Several airlines suspending service in Haiti after a Spirit Airlines flight was hit by gunfire blamed on gang violence. That flight was diverted to the Dominican Republic, where it landed safely, one flight attendant injured.
Today, the State Department issued a security alert stating that the U.S. Embassy in Port-au-Prince is aware of gang-led efforts to block travel to and from Port-au-Prince, which may include armed violence and disruptions to roads, ports, and airports. The statement goes on to advise, do not travel to Haiti.
Fox's Jonathan Seri. America is listening to Fox News.
Our nation's economic problems have been building for the past 50 years, and they're not going away overnight. Dr. Ron Paul here, and this is why I recommend diversifying your IRA or 401k into gold, a proven bedrock in any economy, with my friends at Birch Gold Group. To learn more, get a free info kit on gold. Text the word SHELTER to 989898. That's SHELTER to 989898.
Message and data rates may apply.
The holidays mean more travel, more shopping, more time online, and more personal info in more places that could expose you more to identity theft. But LifeLock monitors millions of data points per second. If your identity is stolen, our US-based restoration specialists will fix it, guaranteed, or your money back. Don't face drained accounts, fraudulent loans, or financial losses alone. Get more holiday fun and less holiday worry with LifeLock. Save up to 40% your first year with promo code NEWS. Visit lifelock.com. Terms apply.
Air Comfort Service, heating, cooling, and insulation, weather.
All is dry for evening plans, but more and more clouds taking control as we go through the evening and the overnight. 46 for the low. Saturday still on track. Periods of rain, a couple of non-severe thunderstorms, breezy and chilly. 59 for the high. Saturday night, still wet. Periods of rain, a couple of non-severe storms, 53. Sunday, though, is gorgeous, partly to mostly sunny and nice, 66. This is 97.1 FM Talk. Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
I'm Chad Robison with Your Money Now. Amazon is reportedly developing smart eyeglasses for its delivery drivers to guide them to, around, and within buildings, according to CNBC. If the project's successful, the glasses would provide drivers with turn-by-turn navigation on a small embedded screen. On Wall Street today, stocks finished the session higher. The three main indexes all set fresh record highs, with the Dow gaining 304, the S&P 500 up 5, and the tech-heavy Nasdaq gaining nearly 12 points. Cigna Group is saying not to be pursuing a deal with rival Humana, according to company officials. That announcement coming days after Trump's re-election as U.S. president raised investor hopes that the reported merger may help pass any antitrust scrutiny. U.S. crude oil futures for December falling more than 3.1% today, residing above $68 a barrel. That's Your Money Now.
If you're living with dry age-related macular degeneration or dry AMD, you may be at risk for developing geographic atrophy or GA. GA can be unpredictable and progress rapidly, leading to irreversible vision loss. Now there's something you can do to
slow it down. get it going slower.
Izervay is proven to slow GA progression.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Izervay or avacin-capted Pagal is a prescription eye injection used to treat GA. Don't take it if you have an infection or active swelling in or around your eye. Izervay can cause eye infection, retinal detachment, or increased risk of wet AMD. Izervay may temporarily increase eye pressure. Your vision may be impaired after an eye injection or exam. Don't delay. Ask your doctor about Izervay today.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Visit Izervay.com. That's IZERVA.
This hour of the Mark Reardon Show is sponsored by Gamma Tree Experts. Your trees deserve the best care. Call Gamma Tree Experts.
Rhino Shield is far superior to even the best traditional exterior house paint. Rhino Shield is 8 to 10 times thicker than paint and comes with a 25-year transferable warranty. Rhino Shield is the only ceramic coating company that has been chosen by Disney, This Old House, and 3 times on HGTV's Curb Appeal, where every episode is concentrated on unpainted brick, bonds and seals to stucco, wood, hardy, block, color lock, masonite, and more. No better product for those steel aluminum-sided homes that have become, chalky and tired looking. We coat sloped and flat roofs to extend their lives too. After 15 years, we've got a great reputation and a superior product. As long as it's affordable, why wouldn't you do it? Before you make the costly mistake of painting with traditional paint, you'd be best served to call Rhino Shield today. We are the experts and our evaluations are free. 877-25-RHINO or 877-25rhino.com. Tell them, ladies.
No paint, don't Rhino. Go Rhino Shield. Never paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
When you're approaching retirement, there are a lot of questions to answer. Do you have enough money to fund your income for life? How should you claim Social Security? And what's your plan for health care and long-term care? Hi, I'm Eric Robert, Director of Investments with the ClearPath Wealth Management Group at Stifel and host of On the Money Saturday mornings at 11 on 97.1 FM Talk. Don't leave your retirement to chance. It's crucial to understand and address relevant risks before you retire. Our team can help you get organized, guide you through critical retirement decisions, and create an investment portfolio designed around your needs. To schedule your free retirement plan consultation, go to clearpathinvesting.com. That's clearpathinvesting.com. Or call us at 636-695-2650. That's clearpathinvesting.com or 636-695-2650. Stifel Nicholas and Company Incorporated, member SIPC and NYSE.
And a lot of people, when they come in, they'll say, I'm usually much more active, but since I've been in pain, I've had to limit the activities I'm doing.
You're listening to Janelle, an arch support specialist at the Good Feet store.
So he came in and he wanted to be able to keep up, play sports with his kids. And from there, we figure out which arch supports complement those activities. I fit him with the arch supports, and as I followed up with him, he's messaged me and said, I took my kids to the park today. We're walking, we're exercising, riding the bikes, and those are all things that he wasn't doing before because he was in pain.
For over 25 years, the Good Feet store's arch support specialists have been helping folks to live the life they love without foot, knee, hip, or back pain getting in the way.
Our goal is to have that long-term change for them. That's what's most important, is knowing that you leave an impact on someone's life. And I like that.
Try them for yourself. Stop in for a free personalized fitting and test walk at the Good Feet store.
Visit one of our 2 locations, Creve Coeur and Shiloh, Illinois, and at goodfeet.com.
Broadcasting what most people are afraid to say. Mark Reardon on your home for conservative talk.
We have no crew with us today. Well, Ethan's here. I shouldn't say no crew because you're here. You're going to do Sue's News. Sue and Fred are off because of Veterans Day. I kind of did a little trade with my bosses. I worked a couple of, I took off a couple weeks ago. I was in Houston coming back from seeing my grandson, and then I decided to trade this day off. But Ethan's here with me, and we're going to have fun, do some Ethan's News here. You haven't done this yet, have you?
No, this is a first.
Let me give you some advice.
Okay.
Don't suck.
Got it.
It's the only advice I can give you. A couple things before we get to that, and I do want to mention we're going to focus on Veterans Day in this hour. Mike Morrow, who is the mayor of Grafton, who came up with this amazing plan. Sue knows Mayor Mike very well to really transform the Bluffs in Grafton to a memorial for the soldiers that invaded Normandy on D-Day. And really, it's an incredible project. For those of you who have not seen the images and the designs, we will guide you into that. We'll talk with Mayor Mike here in just a few minutes. We got Cusumano coming up with sports. What a finish to the Mizzou game, to the Chiefs game, to the Lindenwood game. Ethan, you call the football games for Lindenwood. I know we're going to feature that here because they had an amazing win over the weekend as well. But a couple things that are random. And let me compare and contrast. One of the wishes that I have, and it's way too early to do this with my friends on the left, but there is a point where I'd like to get to them and say, look, you don't have to believe me and what I'm saying. I'm not going to convince you to watch Fox News or whatever, but you need to know how much you're lied to by the media that you trust, whether it's the St. Louis Post-Dispatch, NPR, PBS, the New York Times, whatever it might be. And let me give you a little compare and contrast here from October 4th. On October 4th, this is the New York Times. Fact check. You know, they know their fact checks over there. Don't challenge them, right? Trump's false claims about the federal response to Hurricane Helene. And then it says in a subheadline, the former president falsely accused the Biden administration of spending disaster funding on migrants, neglecting areas that had voted for Republicans and ignoring a call from a Republican governor. That's all made up. That's fake news, says the New York Times. Except that here's the headline today in the New York Times. FEMA fires employee for telling Milton relief workers to skip houses with Trump signs. The agency said it was investigating the incident in the aftermath of the Category 3 hurricane. Now, you know, the amount of times in the last 4 years in particular, I've said the following statement. Can you even imagine if this happened, if a federal government agency and workers for a federal government agency were involved in discriminating against Kamala Harris or Joe Biden voters, right, as retribution or whatever the case may be? That is horrifying. Horrifying. But this is where we're at right now. And here's what the story says. An employee with FEMA has been fired after reports that in the aftermath of Hurricane Milton, the employee told relief workers in Florida to pass over houses with signs supporting Donald J. Trump. The agency confirmed that an employee had advised her survivor assistance team to not go to homes with yard signs supporting Mr. Trump during the rescue efforts after Milton. FEMA said the employee, whose name was not revealed, oh, that's too bad because it should be, has now been terminated. It said that it believed that this was an isolated incident, which is now under investigation. How do we know if it's an isolated incident? That is stunning. And it won't get barely, now look, the New York Times did this story. It won't get barely a mention in the rest of the legacy media.
The amount of hypocrisy that we see on that side is just unbelievable. So much of what Republicans are accused of in their character, their morality,
right?
is flipped,
yes.
and it's shown from the left. Now, it's not everyone. It's not everyone.
Right.
But
well,
it's
I said that Friday. Look, you know, our friends that were on the roundtable, Jane and Steve, but I'm telling you, Ethan, I got so many unhinged people because I have friends on the left, and they don't see what they're doing right now. And they don't really, the other thing is there's two groups of people. There's the people that, and I almost have a little empathy. Maybe I do have empathy for progressive Democrat voters that are lost in the wilderness right now. They don't understand how the country could have done this. Well, that's because you're not paying attention to things other than TikTok. Okay, so if you dig in, and again, I'm not going to convince people to watch Fox or read the American Spectator or listen to a show like this, but it would be incumbent upon some of us, I think, moving forward to say, hey, and this is what I would share. Google the piece that Yuri Berliner from PBS wrote in the spring, how he completely outed the progressives at NPR and PBS. It was NPR, actually, he worked for, and talked specifically about how they manufacture the news and how they omit things from their audience in an effort to save the republic from the evil, bad orange man. This is what they do.
It really is sad because these people, as that proves, these people that are doing this FEMA person and so many of these people that are so heavy with the accusations against Republicans, they're not just conjuring this up on their own. They're being told this and they're believing these things. Yeah. And as a result, this is how they end up being this way and living in such a fearful stance that if one person is elected president, the world is going to fall apart and half of the country is going to lose their rights and all these terrible things are going to happen.
They think that that's what's going to happen. I think that they think that women are going to have birth control taken away. There's going to be a national abortion ban. This is because people and elected officials have been repeating this nonsense for a while. So then you have, this is a PBS reporter that goes on CNN trying to dissect what happened. What just happened last week?
One thing that I think stands out also, we can't have this conversation, a little bit to your point, Dana, is that maybe it's not so much Democrats' policies or messaging or the words that they use specifically, but there is an entire right-wing media ecosystem that doesn't exist on the left, and it does not exist in the center or mainstream.
Oh, my God. Listen to the CNN. Dana Bash, John King. Listen, I want you to listen to that again. This is so important. And they don't get it. They really don't. They want to talk about how one of the reasons that this election ended up the way that it did is because of the media ecosystem on the right. They don't want to talk about the ecosystem that they live in right now. That is unbelievable when you really think about it.
One thing that I think stands out also, we can't have this conversation, a little bit to your point, Dana, is that maybe it's not so much Democrats' policies or messaging or the words that they use specifically, but there is an entire right-wing media ecosystem that doesn't exist on the left, and it does not exist in the center or mainstream, and people are getting their information in very different ways now.
Yeah, we've known that for a long time. This is someone, one of the things that I hope happens, and I really do, and this shouldn't be punitive, it just should be the way that it is. Take the funding away from NPR and PBS. Remove it. Take it away from them. They don't deserve it. They're the government-subsidized stations. The rest of us have to kind of survive on our own. So remove their funding because these people are so out of touch with what happened.
Donald Trump and Republicans and Elon Musk and Joe Rogan know exactly how to reach Americans where they are, regardless of age and demographic. And that played a big role in this because of the fact of whether it was disinformation, misinformation, or different propaganda that they were feeding to the American public that made them feel the way they did, and the American public felt as though that they were being heard by Donald Trump.
Well, maybe it wasn't disinformation or misinformation. It was propaganda. It was propaganda from your side. In the same breath, now think about this, what I just presented to you. The New York Times denied with a fact check a month ago, oh, this nonsense. Trump's making this stuff up again. He's crazy. J.D. Vance, all these right-wingers are crazy. They're saying that someone from FEMA refused to give out help from the federal government because of a Trump sign. That's nonsense. Stop it. Then today they confirm everything that they denied. And by the way, there's not just one example of that with the mainstream media. There's tens of thousands of examples of things like that they refuse to confront. So that's unbelievable. It really is. That's special right there. And these guys going on CNN and all these other shows, and they're trying to say, oh, we were disadvantaged because they have an advantage on the right with their ecosystem. You guys, you're so ridiculously embarrassing.
I think my favorite part of it is the two names that they mentioned in Joe Rogan and Elon Musk, two people that used to be on the left side. Joe Rogan endorsed Bernie Sanders in 2020. Elon Musk was said to be, or was publicly leaned on that side. And it's not that these guys, yes, they did flip a little bit, I'm sure, but it's been more so that the left continues to just go more and more extreme.
They don't get it, Ethan. They don't get it. But I embrace that. Let's do this. Again, my advice for you, Sue's not here, don't suck.
No pressure.
These allegations are deeply concerning.
Does the president have any comment?
We're not going to comment.
It's not clear messaging.
No.
And now, Sue's News. Brought to you by Sue.
All right.
Or Ethan today.
Well, here we go to start off Sue's News. Now, listen, last time that Sue wasn't here, Fred filled in, and he did something that I'm going to mimic. He started off with sports. So we're going to go ahead and stick with that. This past weekend, no, not at all. This past weekend, Lindenwood University football faced off against the number 6th ranked Southeast Missouri State. This is a David versus Goliath matchup.
Now, they're 6th ranked in what?
6th ranked in the FCS.
Oh, in the FCS, okay.
D1AA, the lower level of Division I football, but still, it's still competitive football.
Is that what we call the subdivision?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Right.
So, Lindenwood, only in their 3rd season transitioning to the Division I level, so they're still very new to this, upper level of college football.
Right.
And while they've held their own for the most part, SEMO's a powerhouse. They hadn't lost against an FCS team this season. They have one of the best quarterbacks in the country, a chance of getting drafted in the upcoming spring. But on Saturday, the Lions shocked the FCS.
Paxton DeLaurent is in the shotgun, takes the snap. Looking to throw over the middle. Intercepted by Eric Gant. He goes down at the 30, and that will do it. The Game Ball Brawl Trophy is coming to St. Charles. Lindenwood, the biggest upset in program history.
Look at that. So that's literally the biggest, and that's Ethan on the call there. That's the biggest upset in their history?
Yeah, I mean, first off, this is a very young, new rivalry. They created the Game Ball Brawl, so there is a trophy to go along with the winner.
For that matchup in particular?
For that matchup specifically. There had been a lot of chatter. SEMO has not been afraid to call Lindenwood little brother, so this is already young, but it's become a little bit of a rivalry here. The only two Division One's school, FCS schools, in Missouri. So there's that as well. Lindenwood defeated SEMO 24-12, a cold and rainy ball game. The Lions really had control of this game throughout. Freshman Steve Hall rushed for 91 yards, was the conference freshman of the week for the fourth time this year. Jeff Caldwell, just under 100 yards receiving and a touchdown. But I think the most impressive part of this game, Mark, the Lion defense holding SEMO to 240 yards in total. This SEMO team averages 410 total yards per game. So by far the biggest
Here's what
win.
happened, though. I know what happened. I have insider information that you don't even know what happened.
Let me hear it.
SEMO's running back got hurt on the second play.
So SEMO's been very banged up
I know
this
about that?
year.
Because his father, Don Brown, is texting me right now. And his son's the starting running back.
So Peyton Brown, bless his heart,
him.
has been banged up this season, and I think he had played in six of the 9 games so far. He was out for a couple of the previous games, and then he started.
Don said he got hurt on the second carry.
Yeah, he started off the game in there at tailback, and then they had to roll with Daryl Smith, the Alton native, so unfortunate for him. They've been banged up this year.
There's few stories, though, that don't touch this show in some direct way. I just want you to know that. See what happened there?
Absolutely. And I'll say this, too. This SEMO team, they throw heavy, and the rain definitely did not help them.
Yeah.
Lindenwood's a run-heavy team. They took advantage of that.
Good. Congratulations.
Yeah, so that was a fun one. We're going to go ahead and switch now to music. The Grammy nominees are out, and a little bit of history with some of these nominees. Former President Jimmy Carter becomes the oldest person to be nominated at 100 years old. He was nominated for his latest spoken word album, Last Sundays in Plains, a centennial celebration which features renditions of classic songs such as America the Beautiful, Amazing Grace, and recordings from Carter's Sunday school lessons at Maranatha Baptist Church in his hometown of Plains, Georgia. A little bit more history. Beyonce, 11 nominations this past Friday, makes her the all-time leader with 99 Grammy nominations. She also has the most wins at 32. She's followed in nominees by her husband Jay-Z, who has 89, Paul McCartney with 84 is in third, and the late Quincy Jones is in fourth with 80. We continue moving on here, and
I'm looking at the nominees just because I always like to see how out of touch I am with music.
Yeah.
And can I just go through Record of the Year?
Go for it.
Believe it or not, the Beatles are nominated for Now and Then, which is, they went back into the studio and they grabbed previous recordings. Beyonce's Texas Hold'em, Espresso by Sabrina Carpenter. She's kind of, blowing up pretty big. Charlie XCX 360. Don't know anything about that. Birds of a Feather, Billie Eilish. It's very, very difficult for me to admit this because I've never understood Billie Eilish. I've actually seen her in concert before at a music festival, but Birds of a Feather is a great song. So I'm going to have to say that. Chapel Rowan, Good Luck Babe, Fortnite, Taylor Swift with Post Malone. Album of the Year is New Blue Sun, Andre 3000. Got nothing there. Cowboy Carter, Beyonce. That is a great record. That one deserves to be nominated. Short and Sweet, Sabrina Carpenter. Brat, Charlie XCX. The Jesse Volume 4, Jacob Collier. Never heard of that person,
idea.
Right? Chapel Roan, The Rise and Fall of the Midwest Princess, and the Tortured Poets Department, T. Swifty. So there you go. Now, I know a few of these, but I don't know a lot of them, that's for sure.
Did you like the Beatles Now and Then song that came out
Didn't do
earlier this
anything
year?
for me at
No.
all. I'm not sure why that was nominated. I'll have to look a little bit more into that because
Well,
I don't think anyone ever listened to it more than, okay, the Beatles have kind of a new song out. We've moved on.
I think that's probably what it was, just the name, honestly, of it making its way back in there. Okay, we continue moving forward now in Ethan's news. Leonardo DiCaprio celebrated his 50th birthday over the weekend. We all know DiCaprio has starred in some of the most successful films of all time, including The Titanic, Wolf of Wall Street, Inception, The Great Gatsby, Catch Me If You Can, plenty of others. But did you know that none of these movies won him an Oscar award? It wasn't until 2016 that DiCaprio won his only Oscar. Do you know what the movie is, Mark?
Killing me. I can't say off the top of my head. You were you were kind of leading me down this path that I'm just struggling right now. 2016. I don't know.
DiCaprio won Best Actor for his role in The Revenant. Do you remember that movie?
Of course, that's the one with the bear. That was a great movie
phenomenal.
and a great performance.
The film, based on a true story, takes place in the early 1800s, is largely based around DiCaprio, who plays Hugh Glass surviving a bear attack, trying to return to camp in the midst of a blizzard, while also avenging the death of his son. It's a phenomenal movie.
The opening 15, 20 minutes of that movie, unbelievable.
It's
really, really good.
Very good movie, pure cinema. We'll stick with cinema for now. Another Star Wars trilogy is in the works, and I hope to God that it's better than the last one. Lucasfilms is working on 3 new movies featuring the Star Wars universe. They've confirmed Simon Kinberg is writing the script, who he also wrote some of the X-Men movies. Won an Oscar for writing in The Martian, if you remember that one, with Matt Damon.
Good movie.
Disney has not released a Star Wars film in theaters since 2019's The Rise of Skywalker. This new trilogy is expected to begin with a fresh story and won't be related to the Skywalker saga at all. Once again, thank God. No information yet on a release date.
Well, you know, some of the better Star Wars projects have been on Disney+. Andor, for example, I thought was really, really good. So I think people would have some hope here.
Yeah.
With a new generation.
Fingers crossed.
With no Jar Jar Binks, hopefully.
Oh, dear God. Fingers crossed. Recently, an online wedding vendor site called Breeze It tallied up which songs are on the wedding playlists the very most. Any guess to any of these, Mark?
I know the answer, so I'd be cheating.
How about for top 3?
So I don't know, because I'm not a big wedding person, and by the time people are dancing, because I don't drink, I've kind of slipped out of there, so I'm not sure.
Okay, well, the tune heard the most during receptions all across the country is from 1987 by the late Whitney Houston, I Want to Dance with Somebody.
That makes sense. So that's number 1, right?
24% of wedding-themed Spotify playlists had this song on them. On them. Dancing Queen by ABBA came in at number 2.
All right, I like that one.
19%. And close behind at 3rd, Usher's Yeah, which is just under 19%.
That's a big one.
Yeah.
That's just a good one whenever, if you want to dance, right?
Listen.
And I do not want to make it clear, I do not want to dance. I'm a white sober guy. But for people who do want to dance, that's a good one to dance to.
Listen, it's not a good wedding reception if you don't have these 3 playing. I think we can honestly say that. Okay, we continue moving forward. The official Batman tumblers, the military-inspired Batmobile made famous from, of course, Christopher Nolan's Dark Knight movie trilogy, the first one being Batman Begins, are going up for sale at the price of nearly $3 million a piece. They're going to sell 10 of these official reiterations offered by Warner Brothers Discovery under the Wayne Enterprises name. I know, one of the best trilogies of all time, in my opinion. And growing up as a kid, this was kind of the thing.
With Chris Nolan. Yeah, really well done. All right, random fact time.
Okay, here we go. To wrap up Ethan's news for the day, here is the fun fact of the day. If the sun exploded, it would take 8 minutes for it to kill us all.
That's it.
And that is it for
just
today
8
in
minutes.
Ethan's news.
That's all. There you go. Noodle on that just a little bit, right? Thank you, Ethan. I think you did well enough where Fred's going to be relieved now. He might give this to you full time.
Uh-oh.
We'll have to see what happens. Fred and Sue back tomorrow.
Catch anything you missed today by getting the show podcast at 971talk.com.
Outdoor Living Redefined, brought to you by Lakeside Renovation and Design, your trusted partner in crafting stunning decks, inviting screened rooms, and elegant porch overhangs. Imagine enjoying a crisp morning coffee on your beautifully designed deck, or hosting gatherings in a spacious screened room. Lakeside turns your vision into reality. Our skilled craftsmen use top-notch materials to create spaces that stand up to the elements and stand out in style. Elevate your lifestyle with Lakeside's outdoor living expertise. Visit our showroom or call Lakeside Renovation and Design today.
Let's talk about New Perspective Senior Living. This is a facility that just opened up in Weldon Spring next to Persimmon Woods Golf Course, not too far from Progress West Hospital. Easy access from Highway 6440 in Weldon Spring, and it's a friendlier approach to senior living. It's a beautiful facility. I visited while they were still putting the finishing touches on. A company from Minnesota, this first foray here into Missouri. beautiful apartments for independent living, assisted living, and they have a memory care facility as well. If you go to NP, N as in Nancy, P as in Paul, npseniorliving.com, you can find out everything about the company. There's an interesting origin story with Betty, who is the mother-in-law of the founder, and you can watch actually a video of Betty, who was in the military herself. Maybe something good to watch here on Veterans Day. So check out New Perspective Senior Living. The apartments are beautiful, granite countertops, big walk-in closets. You have great meal plans. The common areas have a lot of sports memorabilia and photographs. They were putting some of the artwork up when I was there. Check them out today. Make an appointment for a tour. npseniorliving.com, New Perspective Senior Living in Weldon Spring.
The election is finally over. Now you can get the cash you need. Imagine what you could do with $50,000. Pay off credit cards, do home improvements, or even pay off auto loans. Golden Oak's mortgage rate is 5.25%. There's no out-of-pocket costs, so call today and make no payments until next year. Call 314-567-GOLD.
Golden Oak Lending cured my blues.
6.19 APR, FHA, 15-year, 20% equity qualified credit. Additional terms apply. NMLS 114937.
Attention, Missouri residents in need of care at home. If you have Medicaid and need assistance with daily activities, you can receive free in-home care from a loved one, funded by Medicaid with no cost to you. Freedom Care, Missouri's #1 home care provider, gives you the power to choose who provides your care, and they get paid instantly. Imagine your daughter, son, a close relative, or trusted friend helping you with cooking, transportation, laundry, and other activities in your own home. You get the help you need, and your caregiver gets paid instantly after their shift. Freedom Care has over 5,000 five-star Google reviews and is #1 in Missouri for in-home care. If you have Medicaid and want great care from a loved one that's 100% free to you, go to freedomcare.com or call 314-557-3027. That's 314-557-3027. 314-557-3027.
Jewels on Hampton in St. Louis Hills is paying some of the highest prices on gold, silver, diamonds, semi-precious colored stones, and fine watches on site. Jewels on Hampton is a premier jeweler with an exquisite selection of diamonds, semi-precious stone jewelry, and vintage watches. Their expert design team can restyle your jewelry to today's contemporary style. They also do jewelry and watch repair. Need extra cash? Jewels on Hampton is paying some of the highest prices on gold, silver, diamonds, semi-precious colored stones, and fine watches. Bring your collectibles and clocks, sports memorabilia, and figurines too. Jewels on Hampton, 4506 Hampton, just 3 blocks south of Chippewa. Call them at 314-752-5000. That's 314-752-5000. So if you need some extra cash, looking for that one-of-a-kind piece, make Jewels on Hampton your first stop. Jewels on Hampton in St. Louis Hills.
It's time for a $98 furnace tune-up.
And this portion of the show is sponsored by Jerry Kelly Heating and Air.
For details and a list of all station contest rules, visit www.971talk.com/rules. The minds and voices that shape America.
This is Brian Kilmeade here on St. Louis's home for Conservative Talk.
97.1 FM Talk.
You know what I think the theme is? Keep it here.
Stream it on the Odyssey app.
97.1 FM Talk St. Louis.
You're listening to The Mark Reardon Show on 97.1 FM Talk.
So, during the break, I haven't vetted this yet. I don't need to vet it. I just need to check it out, and I will post it. Jennings just sent me, somebody on YouTube, people have a lot of time on their hands. Let me tell the story this way. I saw Joe Buck earlier this year when Fred was inducted into the Media Hall of Fame, and I told him that someone had compiled, and it's out there on YouTube, this reel of like 20 minutes every time Joe has introduced Troy Aikman as the Hall of Famer. Like there's a 20-minute loop of this on YouTube. So somebody has done this with Jennings on CNN. And basically it says, token Republican Scott Jennings makes CNN watchable again. And it's like, I gotta see how long this thing is because it's pretty long. This is just a short one, though. It's like a 3-minute highlight reel of Jennings smacking him down. So just keep that in mind. And I'll give you a link here. I'll put it up on the Twitter in due time. Cusumano's coming up a little bit later. Christina Strait, who is a sponsor here with Strait Realty. But we're going to talk about a podcast she's doing about haunted houses. I'm very interested about that. Matt Pauley from the KMOX side is going to talk sports with us at 5:30, plus an audio cut of the day. Mike Morrow is back with us. He's the mayor of Grafton, Illinois. There is this amazing National Memorial of Military Ascent that they are building as a commemoration of D-Day. Mayor Mike back with us this afternoon. Sue is off. She, of course, has direct connection to you, Mayor Mike. But how are you this afternoon?
I'm doing great, Mark, and how are you?
I'm fantastic, and happy Veterans Day to all the veterans. We've been highlighting it and commemorating it here on the show, and there's no better way than to throw a lot of love at this project in Grafton. And do you have some event that's coming up here tonight as well?
In about 1 hour, I'm here in Clayton, Missouri, right in St. Louis. We're having a big fundraiser this evening at the Cafe Napoli, and we are going to have a whole bunch of folks here starting from 5:30 to 7:30, and we're raising funds for the National Memorial of Military Ascent in Grafton, Illinois. And as you know, as we've been on your radio show before, and as I was with Sue Thomas this weekend, we did a 4-segment part on what's going on with this memorial. It's all about the 12 bronze statues that we're putting on the cliffs in Grafton, Illinois to represent the Rangers climbing Point du Hoc on D-Day in June 1944.
A little of the backstory. I mean, I know it. We've shared it with the audience before, Mike, but kind of just explain how this all came together, because it was very organic, wasn't it?
It was. My wife Lynn and I had been to Normandy 3 times, and on for the 70th and the 75th, I was honored to give a speech. But part of that was that we'd been to Point du Hoc, and we learned about how the Rangers took out the guns up on the top of the cliffs before D-Day actually started in the early part of that landings. And when we came back to Grafton, I was driving after the 2019 75th. We were driving down the River Road, and I looked up at the cliffs by our visitor center, and I said, "Look, Point du Hoc." And she says, "Yes." And from there, it kind of took off. When I became the mayor in 21, the first thing that we did was to get with the Grafton City Council. They pulled together a commission, and this commission was given the task of coming up with a way to honor our veterans. And as I've said before, the population of Grafton is 17% veterans, which is the largest in the state of Illinois per capita. So we came up with the idea. We took the vision that we had of that Point du Hoc, and we went and looked, and it came to this. And so our commissioners have been working, and tonight we've been out raising money, and we had our architect, Jamie Henderson, with Henderson Associates in Edwardsville, draw up all of the concepts, and we're working to, again, tonight raise money.
So give us an update on where this all is right now in the whole process.
The process, the statues are being poured as we speak. Probably not tonight, but they're, in the daytime they're pouring them.
Right.
But what they did was in June of this year of 2024, we had the Foundry come out to Illinois, and we commemorated D-Day here in Grafton with the 2nd Ranger Battalion of St. Louis. They are our living history reenactors. They came out with all their World War II gear, their vehicles, and so forth at the visitor center. And what we did was we scanned the positions for those statues for all 12 of the statues. And we took live people, the Rangers, we dressed, and also younger men that we modeled for. And,
right.
Because there weren't any old guys climbing those cliffs.
No.
So we got
there are probably guys younger than 18 that were climbing those cliffs that lied to get in the military, too.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
There's a couple of 17-year-olds and so forth, but there's also a Lieutenant Colonel Rudder that climbed that cliff. He was probably in his mid-30s. So, But anyway, so we took these models, they dressed them up in the period uniforms, and we took poses. And the Foundry people digitally scanned each of those models, and they created computer images. Now, those computer images they went back to North Carolina. They finished them up, and they sent those off to Portland, Oregon, where what they do there is run them through a 3D printer. That 3D printer is making segments, and those segments go back to North Carolina, and they put them together, and they start pouring the bronze figures. The regular way to make a life-size bronze statue, it takes 2 years because you do the sculpture and the clay and everything. This digital method cuts it down to 1 year, and what the Foundry is doing is they're giving us 1 year of their floor time so that we can do all 12 statues at once. They've started on a Radio Man. They've already poured the radio. It's an actual World War II radio that a radio person would have carried on Omaha Beach or within that period of time. So we already have these statues being poured.
Yeah.
We're sitting here working at getting the museum start to lined out as far as what's going to be in that and designs and so forth.
You are, I didn't even bring this up. I should have. You are a retired colonel, aren't you, on this Veterans Day? We should highlight that, Mike.
I am.
Right?
I am. Yes. 33 years in. I tell people I went in for only 2 years, but I found out I liked it, so I stayed.
Nice. That's good. I wanted to make sure that I got that in there. Look, I come up with, you don't know me that well, but I come up with these brilliant ideas all the time. Like, give me an example. I always create apps, and then I go out there and I search and I figure out that there's 20,000 apps that I already created. And in this particular situation, because you know how big of a fan I am of the project, I thought, you know what? I think I should make a documentary about this. This would be cool. But you already got that covered too, don't you, Mike?
Actually, we do. Yes, we have a documentary. We have the documentary people here tonight at the cafe, and what we're doing is they're documenting that. So, yes. And when we're finished with this 2 to 3 year process, we will have a PBS quality documentary that we can play nationwide that shows how this came about. I tell people, if you ever watch the Oak Island series, hopefully we're going to strike gold before those guys do.
Mike, you are doing this all right. I think that's awesome. You got a guy by the name of David Schock, who's a filmmaker who's involved here, and this is going to be, I think I've referred to it as something that's going to be a destination for this country. This is going to be a global destination here in St. Louis with our arch, because everybody knows St. Louis internationally only because of the arch, but let's try to put us on the map with this memorial. So the ETA for the opening of the memorial roundabout would be when?
6/6/26.
Okay. Couple years.
We're having the grand couple of years. The statues will be ready to install at the end of 2025.
And this is our sesquicentennial year in 2026 as well. So that's a
Correct.
nice tie-in, right?
Yeah, it's going to fall right into the fact of the Great River Road with the Lincoln Highway and U.S. The Route 66, all the 26. So this is going to be huge. This is going to be very huge for Grafton, for the region, and nation. And also, as you know, we've got commissioners that are in France. So there's also international, the connection.
How much money do you still need to raise? You're talking like $6 million all in or more than that?
$6 million. We've raised about $500,000, and we've got a very big announcement coming out tonight.
Okay, and I have people that listen to this show that have relatively deep pockets, certainly deeper than mine, and I want to put it on their radar because if there's no better cause right now than what you're doing in Grafton. I think it's outstanding. So, Lieutenant Colonel Morrow, thank you so much for coming on here and keep us posted on the progress, okay?
Thank you, Mark. Will do.
All right, take care. That's Mike Morrow, who is the mayor of Grafton. I love that project so much. It needs to be on the radar of a lot of important people around the country because they're going to love it too and maybe donate money. We're coming back with Cusumano here.
Our favorite reason to choose Diamonds Direct over any other jeweler? Free service for life with no fine print. That's right. When you buy your engagement ring or any piece of jewelry at Diamonds Direct, you will never have to pay a dime in the future for sizing, cleaning, or routine maintenance. Even if she accidentally knocks out a side accent diamond, Diamonds Direct will replace it free. Now, other stores claim to offer warranties, but the catch is that they won't honor it unless you bring your ring in for regular inspections. But at Diamonds Direct, inspections are never required. There's no gotcha clause. No fine print, no looking for ways to void the warranty. Plain and simple, at Diamonds Direct, we stand behind what we sell, and we're committed to service it at no charge for life, period. It's all part of our commitment to provide you with the ultimate in value and total confidence before, during, and long after your purchase. Diamonds Direct, the jeweler you can trust with a no questions asked 100% free lifetime warranty with no strings attached. Come see us to learn more. Proud to call the Lou home. Diamonds Direct, your love, our passion.
It's warm now, but winter will be here before you know it. That's why Banner Construction is having their pre-winter window event. Choose from Banner's various energy-efficient brands and window price points featuring beautiful Pella windows. Banner is a certified Pella contractor and preferred James Hardie specialist. If you've been considering new windows or a fresh new exterior for your home, see Banner's work at bannerconstruction.com or call 314-569-1050 and have a banner day.
Mark Cox here. Did you know the Rockwood School District is a great place to work? They're currently hiring school bus drivers, cafeteria workers, and custodial staff. They have openings in Adventure Club, which is before and after school care. They offer competitive pay, flexible work hours, and a rewarding work environment. Discover the Rockwood Advantage and join an amazing team. Go to rsdmo.org/jobs That's rsdmo.org/jobs.
Hey guys, Glover here with my friends Mark and Neil Gelman from the Gelman team of eXp Realty. Selling your home, every situation is unique. Find the best options that are right for you from the real estate team who offer more options. 314-336-1991. Go to thegelmanteam.com.
If you had a crystal ball, you wouldn't agonize over when to sell your home. You just ask, should I sell while my home's value is sky high? Or wait and hope the bottom doesn't drop out of the housing market? The thing is, I'm not ready to move. You don't need a crystal ball with TrueHold Sell and Stay. You can literally sell now and move when you're ready. When you sell your home to TrueHold, you can cash out your home's equity quickly and easily, and you can stay in your home with a flexible standard lease. TrueHold pays property taxes, property insurance, and essential repairs too. TrueHold unlocks your wealth without uprooting your life. Get a no-obligation offer now while home values are sky high. You could use the money to secure your retirement, pay off bills, or finance your dreams. Call 1-855-300-9993 or visit TrueHold.com. The smarter, faster way to cash out on your home's equity without moving. That's TrueHold.com. Terms and conditions apply. See website for more details.
I'm Brian Westbrook with Coalition Life. While we celebrate the reversal of Roe v. Wade, there is still much work to be done to support life and pregnant women before they cross state lines. Together, we can provide the love, support, and options that women need to choose life for their children. Coalition Life celebrates more than 3,500 clients served and thousands of lives saved since we began this mission with you. Each one is a miracle. Over the years, day in and day out, our team has walked alongside women facing the fear and challenges of an unexpected pregnancy. Through the support of this community, we have given them hope and a path to choose life for the children they carry. Visit coalitionlife.com to give your vital support while reducing or completely eliminating your state taxes through Missouri's 70% tax credit. Learn more at coalitionlife.com, coalitionlife.com.
The Mark Cox Morning Show.
Well, Senator Josh Hawley, obviously right now we're looking at leadership in the Senate now that you guys have clearly regained it. Who are you putting your vote behind?
Well, I'm going to support Senator John Cornyn.
The Mark Cox Morning Show.
On St. Louis's home for conservative talk. Follow Mark on Twitter at Mark Reardon KFTK and Instagram at Mark Talk. You're listening to The Mark Reardon Show.
Well, certainly looked like the Chiefs were going to lose until this happened yesterday.
Lutz waiting for the snap. Laceman is down. Lutz's kick is blocked. It's blocked. It's blocked. The Chiefs blocked the kick. They're going to stay undefeated.
Unbelievable. Mitch Holt is with the call.
The Chiefs blocked a 35-yard field goal attempt. Kansas City wins this game on a blocked field goal.
I love Mitch Holtis so much. That was a great call. Cusumano from KSDK with us this afternoon. They just somehow find a way to win every game this season. Frank, how are you?
Yeah, and Mark, I think the only thing that'll keep them from a perfect season is them saying, okay, last couple of weeks, we don't need to go 17-0. We need to have our starters rested and healthy for the playoffs. It's going to be one of those great Indianapolis Colts decisions when Peyton Manning was in his prime and they decided to rest the starters and they lost. So it's amazing too, especially with Patrick Mahomes not being exactly sensational. 1 touchdown pass yesterday, 12 TDs and 9 picks on the season.
So then, I'm watching that game last night, and shame on me because I'm a big NFL fan. I fell asleep. And Detroit, look, they are looking really good right now. They come back. That really speaks volumes of a team that's down, 23-3 in Houston to a pretty good, I almost call them the Houston Oilers. Team with C.J. Stroud maybe struggling a little bit more than we thought at the beginning of the season, but that looks like the cream of the NFC right now, the Detroit Lions.
They do, and they're so good that their quarterback can throw 5 interceptions and they can still win the game, trailing 23-7. I mean, if you just look at the analytics of this thing, there's no way Jared Goff threw 5 picks. They lost. How many teams have ever overcome 5 interceptions by their quarterback and win and against a pretty good team?
And that's why I kind of fell asleep. Now, I think most of those were in the first half, weren't they?
Yes.
Yeah, that's crazy. Well, listen, let's shift to what happened in Columbia, Missouri, because I will say this. In the third quarter, my wife and I were watching one of the Aaron Hernandez episodes, and I'm like, all right, let's watch the fourth quarter. We watched it to the end. Again, somehow Mizzou gets it done in a thriller. All you had to do is really watch the last 3.5 minutes, right, Frank?
Yeah, in that game it was. And it's unbelievable because poor Drew Pine had a brutal first half, and he was really struggling. He was getting booed to death. It was really a bad scene. And then all of a sudden, he turns into like Doug Flutie, and he ends up with 3 touchdown passes. And he scrambled out of the pocket a couple of great times, and he threw a beautiful ball to Burden, a beautiful ball to Theo Weiss. I mean, the guy played out of his mind in the last, 10 minutes of the game.
You had Brady on last night, didn't you?
We did.
Okay, so what did he say, watching it on the sidelines, and then what's the prognosis moving forward?
Well, first of all, I think the most interesting thing he said is he knew on Tuesday he wasn't going to play.
Okay.
Which is kind of shocking because, he goes, look, I mean, sometimes miracles happen. We didn't want to say anything because we thought maybe it would get a miracle, but he just knew Tuesday he wasn't going to play. But it's getting better and better. He doesn't know, and no one knows whether he's going to play against South Carolina. But he just said he was a good sounding board for Drew, and he just tried to keep pumping him up when he heard all the boos. And, they just started to look ahead. What do we do next series? What do we do next series? And it worked. Coach Drink let out a lot of steam because, he spends most of his post-game press conferences for the last maybe 3 years defending his quarterback. And when he gets a chance to lay it on, the social media people and the media, he's going to do it if his quarterback plays well, and he did it on Saturday night.
So, and because I really don't know at all what the possibilities, are we thinking he still can be back in a couple of weeks, or they just are not saying and he doesn't know?
I think it's more the latter. Yeah. So I don't think anybody knows. He's going to play football again this year. He is. If he wasn't, he would have had the surgery right away. And, he's getting this around-the-clock treatment and all the shots you can do. I don't know if he's going to play Saturday, but I'd be surprised if he didn't play that final Mizzou home game.
Right, because then you look at the rest of the season here and you think, well, in theory, should this team be good enough with Drew Pine to beat South Carolina? In theory, they should be, right?
I don't know.
Okay,
you look at what South Carolina did against Texas A&M and Vandy and how Mizzou played against those two teams.
Yeah, not so
they lost
good.
to Alabama by 2. They're playing great football, and that's a really ominous place to win a game. A healthy Brady, probably, you have a good shot. I don't know about Drew Pine down there.
All right, well, I'll keep my fingers crossed. Look, I wasn't thinking we were going to beat Oklahoma, so, we're one up in that category right now. What else is going on here this afternoon, Frank?
Well, the Blues had a disastrous game on Saturday night against Washington. They gave up 8 goals a game, 8 goals again. That's 2 times in the last 6 games you've given 8 goals up. And I got to tell you something. Talent-wise, at the beginning of the season, they were average to slightly above average. They've lost 2 great players, so they're slightly below average now. You cannot, with mediocre talent, have a sub-effort day, and they've had too many of them recently. So they got Boston tomorrow night. They better come out flying because that was ugly on Saturday night.
Go back to football. Here's a little, you can forget that I said this if things don't turn out this way. But I got to tell you, the LA Rams are a team that could really surge here when they're healthy. And Nakua's going to be back. I think he got kicked out of the game last week. I actually hope he gets kicked out again because I'm facing him in fantasy football. But the Rams are putting things together in the West right now in a very interesting way.
They are, and they're led by a St. Louis and Kyron Williams, who's like the 3rd best running back in football. Yeah, they are. I hate to say it. I don't want them to win, but they're fun to watch. It'll be a great Monday night game because the Dolphins have Tua back, so this is going to be a good one to watch.
Enjoy the game, Frank. We'll talk on Friday.
All right, sir.
That's Frank Cusumano from KSTK. Joins us every Friday and Monday at this very time. In the next hour, we're going to take it off politics just a little bit. Oh, don't worry, folks. I'll bring it back to politics. I still have amazing audio that I have not shared here this afternoon. We're going to get into a very spooky podcast about homes in the St. Louis area being haunted with Christina Strait. Matt Pauley from the KMOX side of the building is going to join us. We're going to talk a little bit more about the Tigers and the Cardinals. Talk baseball with Matt, see if we can get any hope in the 5 o'clock hour. Plus, I have an audio cut of the day. I also want to remind you that we're going to Greece. I actually got a nice email from a contact at Churchill Downs this afternoon because I was dabbling with going to the Derby again. I've gone to about 16 Kentucky Derbies, went with my friend Joe Arnold a couple of years ago, and I was going to get tickets for next year. But lo and behold, I'm taking, hopefully, a group of you, to Greece next year on the same dates of the Kentucky Derby. We're going to leave on the last Sunday of April, the 27th. The Kentucky Derby is the first Saturday in May. We're going to be in Greece until the 7th of that week. And this is a great trip. My friend Mike Kenny from Defined Destinations has put it together. I have pinned the information at the top of my Twitter page. So all you have to do, 2 ways to do it. If you go to @MarkReardonKFTK, the very top of my Twitter page, you'll see the link, or you can go to definedestinations.com and just look for the one that says Discover Ancient Greece on a Small Ship Cruise. And one of the things that Mike wants me to emphasize here is, well, 2 things. We don't have a lot of space here, period. We only have a few cabins left, and I think there's only 2 of them that have windows. Keep in mind that this is a ship that only holds 197 guests total. You have, and some of you probably been on big cruise ships. Cruising is okay. It's not my particularly fondest way of doing a vacation. We've had some fun cruises, but this is different because this isn't a big Carnival or another one of the cruise lines that holds 3,000 to 5,000 guests. Those are fun for people who do them. This is different. This is very small. It's very intimate. You have to kind of take the ship to the islands because we're going to be, first of all, in Athens, and then after a couple of days of Athens, we fly to, we take the ship then to Naplio. We go to, I'm not good at the pronunciations here, Antiquity. We go to Syros. We go to Amorgos. We go to Rhodes, and we go to Santorini, which is beautiful. That's the whitewashed architecture, and it's just beautiful in Santorini. And then we go to Milos as well. So all kinds of locations. Go to definedestinations.com, definedestinations.com, or again, all you got to do is go to the top of my Twitter page. I have pinned the link to all the details of the trip. Get with Mike if you have any questions about anything, or get with me. You can always email me here as well. We're going to Greece in April and May of next year. Join us.
Catch anything you missed today by getting the show podcast at 971talk.com.
Is your home, business, or church looking tired, chalky, or in need of curb appeal? Go Rhino. Tired of painting year after year? Go Rhino. Our unique 3M ceramic technology is perfect for brick, stucco, aluminum, steel, color lock masonite, and more. It's backed by our 25-year transferable warranty to not chip, crack, or peel. Great if you're staying, and even better if you're selling. Our ceramic coating allows you to maintain all of your architectural features. The decision to do vinyl will leave your home looking like a plastic moldy box. With Rhino Shield, in 15 years, your home will still have that, wow, it looks like you just got it painted. We've done large condo complexes, parking garages, pole barns, and commercial strip malls. We coat sloped and flat roofs to extend their lives too. Evaluations are free. 877-25-RHINO or 877-25rhino.com. See what we did there? Genius. Tell them, ladies.
No paint, don't vinyl, go Rhino Shield. Never paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
When you're trying to find quality candidates, all the searching, screening, and interviewing can become a job itself. You need Indeed, the all-in-one platform that makes it easy to interview, screen, and hire quality people. Visit Indeed.com/credit.
Hi, this is Thomas Helbig with the Retirement Advisory Group.
Hi, I'm Bob Kershaw. As a family business, we are committed to protecting your retirement, whether you're nearing retirement or already retired. What if it were possible to protect you from market downturns without having to make an emotional decision to buy or sell? What if you could take advantage of a strategy that would automatically take you out of harm's way during the bad years and position you for the growth opportunity during the good years?
The secret is in linking safely to the market without putting your principal at risk. By linking to the market instead of owning the market, you can participate safely on autopilot and lock in your gains without creating a taxable event. Go online at retirementkey.com for a no-obligation retirement review. We'll teach you the strategy that has helped our clients retire with confidence for the past 38 years. And just for coming in, you'll get a copy of our latest edition book, Your Key to a Worry-Free Retirement. So go online at retirementkey.com. That's retirementkey.com.
Honey, is our car still under warranty?
No, not anymore.
My sister just got an extended service plan from Ox Car Care.
Ox Car Care?
Yeah, Ox will cover our repair bills if anything happens to our car, new brakes, a transmission, AC, or engine problems. Plus, Ox Car Care offers free oil changes, tire rotation, and roadside assistance.
Wait a minute, we pay nothing on the repairs? Ox gets it fixed for us? Free oil changes, free tire rotation, and free roadside assistance? What's the number?
800-296-3315. Ox has a 30-day money-back guarantee and an A-plus rating with the Better Business Bureau. They handle their claims from start to finish, unlike other warranty companies. We should call now. 800-296-3315.
The last thing we need is an unexpected car repair bill. I'm calling Ox Car Care now.
Call Ox Car Care for your free quote. 800-296-3315. Ask about senior and military discounts. Don't get stuck with a major car repair bill. Call Ox Car Care, 800-296-3315 or oxcarcare.com.
Hour number 3 is coming up. We are going to talk a little sports, a little spooky haunted houses, and an audio cut of the day.
KFTK FM Florissant. From the Under Law Injury Lawyers, GetJim.com studio.
That's GetJim.com.
97.1 FM Talk. Always live on the free Odyssey app.
Shaping up. I'm Lisa Lacera, Fox News. President-elect Trump is tapping a former New York congressman to lead his environmental agenda.
Former Congressman Lee Zeldin is being nominated by President-elect Trump to lead the Environmental Protection Agency. In a statement, the president-elect says Zeldin will ensure fair and swift deregulatory decisions and unleash the power of American business while maintaining the highest environmental standards. Zeldin tells Fox News the EPA will restore energy dominance.
I'm excited to get into work to implement President Trump's economic agenda, and I think the American people are so hungry for it. It's one of the big reasons why they're sending him back to the White House.
Zeldin served 4 terms in Congress before an unsuccessful campaign for New York governor in 2022.
Fox's Jared Halpern in Washington. The announcement comes after Trump selected longtime advisor Stephen Miller to be deputy chief of policy and named New York Congresswoman Elise Stefanik as his nominee for UN ambassador. President Biden marking Veterans Day by taking part in the wreath-laying ceremony at Arlington National Cemetery and also took part in the unveiling of a plaque at the historic Grubworth Mansion in Delaware honoring his son Bo, who died in 2015 of brain cancer, saying Bo would be honored.
Bo, he also said, though, Dad, it's not about me. And if those of you knew Bo, like Fred Sears and others knew Bo, that's what he'd say. It's not about me, Dad. It's not about me. It's about our servicemen. It's about all veterans. It's about all families.
President Biden also announced the expansion of types of cancer covered by the PACT Act, which provides care for veterans exposed to toxic chemicals. Wall Street, the Dow added 304, closing above 44,000 for the first time. The Nasdaq up 11. The S&P gained 5 points to close above 6,000 for the first time. America is listening to Fox News.
Our nation's economic problems have been building for the past 50 years, and they're not going away overnight. Dr. Ron Paul here, and this is why I recommend diversifying your IRA or 401k into gold, a proven bedrock in any economy, with my friends at Birch Gold Group. To learn more, get a free info kit on gold. Text the word SHELTER to 989898. That's SHELTER to 989898.
Message and data rates may apply.
The holidays mean more travel, more shopping, more time online, and more personal info in more places that could expose you more to identity theft. But LifeLock monitors millions of data points per second. If your identity is stolen, our US-based restoration specialists will fix it, guaranteed, or your money back. Don't face drained accounts, fraudulent loans, or financial losses alone. Get more holiday fun and less holiday worry with LifeLock. Save up to 40% your first year with promo code NEWS. Visit lifelock.com. Terms apply.
Air Comfort Service, heating, cooling, and insulation, weather.
Clear skies with us for evening plans. Clear skies overnight. Evening temperatures will drop back into the upper 50s. 39 for kind of a chilly overnight low. On Tuesday, sunny and cool, 57. More and more clouds take over Tuesday night, 41. Wednesday, mostly cloudy. There'll be some rain showers in the afternoon on Wednesday, 61, ending Wednesday evening. Thursday is sunny and 59. This is 97.1 FM Talk. Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
Why do the
the national tax resolution firms need the tiny fine print at the bottom of all their TV ads. Hi, this is Lance Drury with the Lance Drury Law Firm. You don't hear fast-talking disclaimers in our ads because the claims we make are 100% transparent. The Lance Drury Law Firm primarily focuses on one thing, IRS problems, and we're regulated by the Bar Association, and we have a AAA rating with the Better Business Bureau. IRS issues are serious legal issues. The Lance Drury Law Firm has helped thousands of clients navigate the best resolution plans, and we tell you up front exactly how much it'll cost. Tax resolution law is all we do. So before you send money to some out-of-town, high-pressure salesperson, give us a call at the Lance Drury Law Firm, located right here in St. Louis. Call today to schedule your free consultation with me, 314-260-6120, or visit lance.drurylaw.com.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements.
If you're considering an annuity as part of your retirement plan, we need to talk. Hi, I'm Bob Stockdale, Senior Vice President Investments with the ClearPath Wealth Management Group at Stifel and host of On the Money Saturday mornings at 11 on 97.1 FM Talk. Annuities can be a useful tool for some retirement investors, but not all annuities are created equal. Every week, we meet clients who own complex annuities that don't suit their needs and, in some cases, actively undermine their retirement plan. Before you purchase an annuity, get a second opinion from the ClearPath Wealth Management Group at Stifel. Requesting a consultation is free of charge. To request a free consultation, contact us at clearpathinvesting.com. That's clearpathinvesting.com, or call us at 636-695-2650. That's clearpathinvesting.com or 636-695-2650. Stifel Nicholas and Company Incorporated, member NYSE and SIPC.
A lot of people, when they come in, they'll say, this is my last hope. The next step is getting them in the right arch supports. Our goal is to have that long-term change for them. To see someone that is in pain, I change things for them. See how we can help you with a free fitting at the Good Feet store.
Question: are you a maintain it before it breaks person, or a wait for a problem person? Get ahead of the game, or just see what happens type? Well, if you're the practical, forward-thinking sort, then get this. For a limited time, the rock-solid, fix-it-right guys at Jerry Kelly will come tune up and inspect your furnace for just $98. It's normally $143, and that's very little money for a lot of peace of mind. Check it out now at JerryKelly.com.
Are you tired of feeling sick and tired? I'm Dr. Nick Barnes of Health From Within Family Chiropractic. Our simple 5-step approach aligns your health naturally. We correct spinal abnormalities to maximize nerve supply, focus on pure and simple nutrition, exercise and oxygen, mindset, and minimizing toxins in your body. Transform your health today with Health From Within, conveniently located on Manchester in Rock Hill, or online at healthfromwithinstl.com.
We know you've got an interesting take on things. You can tell us by clicking the microphone button next to Listen Live when you're on the Odyssey app. Record a short message for us to hear when you tune into 97.1 on the Odyssey app. This hour of the Mark Reardon Show is sponsored by Gamma Tree Experts. Your trees deserve the best care. Call Gamma Tree Experts.
All right, I had to shout out to Ethan in the other room. We don't have good line of communication here because Jennings just sent me this highlight reel that somebody had put together, and I have not. I put it up on the Twitter, so the formerly Twitter. If you want to see, I know we have big Scott Jennings fans like my friend Jeannie Sullivan in the audience. He's a rock star now. So someone has compiled his greatest hits. In fact, our friend Gene Evans, who is often on the Reardon Roundtable, said duck-billed platitude is probably my fave. He had some great lines. He has been really doing a great job. A lot of people are talking about Scott for potential job as the White House press secretary. I hope he doesn't do that from a variety of perspectives, but we'll see. Eric Schmidt has taken himself out of consideration for the Attorney General's post, so we did learn that today. A couple other administration positions with Tom Homan. Former New York Congressman Lee Zeldin is going to be at the EPA. There's a lot of things happening in Washington right now. I just ran into Matt Pauley from down the hall on the KMOX side. Matt's going to step in at 5:30 or so, and we're going to talk a little bit more about the Cardinals and Mizzou and the Chiefs, so we'll lighten things up here on Veterans Day. And along those lines, outside of politics, Christina Strait is with us in the studio with Strait Realty. We're not going to talk about that either. We're going to talk about something very interesting that she's doing. It's a new podcast. Everyone's got a podcast, Christina. How are you this afternoon?
Good. How are you today?
I'm doing good. Let me make sure I got the right mic up here because I get confused when other people aren't in the studio. Yeah, my favorite line is, as a terrestrial radio guy, I love promoting podcasts for everyone. But as we've learned here in the last couple of weeks, look, new media has kind of taken over, and people always say you should have a podcast. Well, I kind of do have a podcast because the show is also podcasted, and our streaming numbers are actually pretty good, which encourages me because I just don't know how people even consume things. I'm a little confused these days. But how are you?
I'm well. Thank you for having me.
Beautiful Veterans Day here in St. Louis.
Gorgeous.
You texted me a couple of weeks ago, and Ryan Recker was filling in earlier this afternoon for Annie. And I don't know if he mentioned this. I tried to get a message to him because Ryan actually helped you put this podcast together, right?
Yeah, for sure. I actually reached out to him and I said, hey, I'm thinking about this idea for a podcast. There's so many real estate podcasts out there, and I was thinking, well, why would anybody want to listen to mine? And I pitched my idea, and he's like, I love it. Let's do it.
So this is different.
It is.
And it's I want you to explain what you're doing here. And this was intriguing to me for a couple of different reasons that I'll explain. But what did you want to do here?
Well, I wanted to do something different. I didn't want to talk about the boring stuff of real estate, which there are a lot topics that just bore people if you're not in the industry. I wanted to highlight some of my clients. I have over 3,000 clients and growing, and there are so many stories behind their sales, purchases and sales, that I just wanted to kind of talk about it, bring them in and have them explain it in their own words, what they were going through, and a vast variety of topics.
So it's not only, so the topic we're going to kind of focus in on here is about a client who bought a home that really kind of thinks that there's something going on with some spirits, right?
That's
you want to call them ghosts or whatever might be happening in the background. And one of the things that's interesting to me about that is I had a home in South City on Dover Place, not too far from where Sue lives in Holly Hills. And I had lived in that home for, I don't know, maybe 5 years, but I also rented it. I became a landlord for a while. That was a lot of fun. Actually, I had two good tenants, so I was good with it. But I sold that home 8 years ago when I moved into the house that I'm in right now because it helped with the down payment for the new house. But then I was told in the aftermath, and this was before I was here on 97.1, so it has to be more than 4 years ago because I talked about this on KMOX, that the people that bought my home insist that they think the upstairs is haunted, that they've heard things, they've seen things, and never happened to me whatsoever. But that kind of brings us to the story that you share with Donna here in the podcast. You want to explain that?
Yeah. So Donna, she had this beautiful house in Central West End. I'm not going to say the address, but she interviewed me.
Old house,
but a turn of the century home. So built a long time ago. And she was explaining to me at the listing presentation that I was being not only interviewed by her, but also by her ghost. And she called her ghost Gertie. And then there was another ghost that they called the butler, Jack. And it kind of threw me off because I had never heard that before in a listing presentation. I didn't really know how to act. And we had.
So she kind of just like popped that on you, right?
She totally did.
That's
she
interesting.
totally did. And it made me a little worried because I'm thinking, oh my gosh, does this ghost know something about me that I don't know? Or how are they interviewing me? How do I make them like me? What if they don't like me? It's just all those emotions right at the same time.
So I'm going to have a little clip here that I can play, but explain how Gertrude, and the feeling of the spirits or whatever they want to call them exists in the house, and how does she feel that?
She said, so Donna said that she had always been attuned to the spirit world, and she knew right away when she walked into the house that there was something there, and she just kind of felt the presence of Gertie. I did not feel that. I didn't know that until, she kind of told me, and then there was one time when I was in the loan by myself in the house that I thought, oh my gosh, what if I'm going to see her? What if I'm going to see Jack? And that kind of freaked me out. But other than that, I didn't really feel anything.
But she tells the story. Here's what Donna says.
Several things happened. So one of the first things that I noticed is that there would be shadows where there shouldn't be a shadow. And it was like a fleeting thing that would go across the floor or by the window. And at first I thought, what is that? And then I just got this feeling that the person that I was calling Gert, that was her.
So I tend to be a person that believes that there is, even though we don't see it, there's an explanation for everything. Mm-hmm. Something goes missing in the home. Where did it go? Right. Oh, there is that explanation. We threw a blanket over it or something like that. But I'm also open to the idea because I've heard enough of these stories. This is something that's never really happened to me. I've never felt any presence like that. But I've had enough people share stories that I don't deny that some of this might exist out there.
Right. I'm totally with you. And I expressed in the podcast that as she's even telling me the story, I'm explaining it in my head. I'm explaining it away. Like, oh, it was
just this, or it was just, right, exactly.
But to your point, there are some things that could be undeniable, and I'm open to it as well. I don't know if a spirit would ever talk to me. I'm not sure I'd be open to it, to even hear it. But I've had many clients say that they had.
And I think it's different people have, whether they're in touch with that world or not. I've had conversations with people like that. And it's hard for me to just say, because I don't believe this, that, you're a kook or you're crazy, because they're always something to it.
Sure.
And I don't know how to explain it. I don't know if it's ghosts or something else, but there is something there.
Yeah, there absolutely could be. I'm not saying there's not, but I'm absolutely in your camp for sure.
So what else did Donna tell you, though, that in the podcast? And these are your podcast on this one is like a half an hour, 35 minutes, something like that?
I'm trying to keep it around 30 minutes because people get bored.
User-friendly, that's right.
Yeah.
You don't want to go 3-4 hours like Rogan? Come on.
well, maybe someday if there's demand. I like to talk just like you, so that we could do that.
But sure. Donna's stories, though, did they get I didn't listen to the whole thing. Did they get a little crazy, or is it more questions than answers?
Well, to me, it left more questions than answers. I had questions for her, like specifically, what about your private time? What if you have an anniversary with your husband? Like, is the spirit always there? Or is it only confined to a certain portion of the home? And then I also said, did this spirit follow you to your next home? And her answer was no. But I have had clients, and I was telling you before that on my next podcast, I'm going to be interviewing someone very similar who moved to Vegas, and he said that his spirit followed him from Wildwood to Vegas. And I don't know. Oh, it's crazy.
Yeah, it is crazy. So are you doing this? Christina Strait is with us. You're doing it. What's the podcast called?
It's called The Straight Talk of Real Estate.
Okay.
With Christina
And
Strait.
are you kind of like, is this going to be a little bit of a niche here with the spirits and the ghosts, or is it not necessarily going to only be focused on that?
Not necessarily about that. It's going to be different stories. For instance, on Valentine's Day, I already have a couple who immigrated here from India legally, and they were a part of an arranged marriage. They met each other a week before they got married and then moved to St. Louis, and they have a very strong love story, and I love their story. So I'm going to bring them in and talk to them, and I help them sell and buy a house.
That's very different content there. I like that.
Yeah, just all different types of things. A chaplain for the Army, I'm going to talk to him. I would love to get you in sometime to talk about your experiences with real estate.
Love to. I'll talk to anyone. Yeah. Absolutely.
I just have lots of different clients with lots of different
I bet all those,
stories.
Yeah, all those everybody's got stories from, and a lot of times, certainly I would expect this to be the case with real estate, is you don't even realize what all the stories are until you get settled. I just explained it from this perspective. When I was looking for a house with the Gelmans 8 years ago, I never, you pick the house and we were happy with the house, but then as time goes on, you're like, man, so glad I found this house. Not only because of the economy or anything else, but things kind of come together. And you guys always say you only need one buyer, right? There's always a buyer for every house, but it magically sometimes kind of comes together, luckily, for some buyers.
It does. I've had buyers that have been looking for a long time, and they get frustrated after a couple of times of losing a house. And I say, you got to wait. It will happen when it's time to happen. And to your point about real estate with stories, real estate is one of those things that revolves around a major life event in someone's life, a divorce, a death, a marriage, a new child.
That's true.
Your children leaving for college, upsize, downsize, whatever. So those stories naturally are interesting to me because of what's happening in my clients' lives to make them want to buy and sell a house.
So you know that the Gelmans are my friends and sponsor too.
Yeah,
Christina, you're a sponsor,
well.
right? You're a sponsor, but I'll ask you this question that I've talked to Mark about. So when I have a 9.5-year-old daughter right now, one of the things that he's told me is like, when my daughter's maybe old enough to buy a home, it's all going to be rentals. Is that the trend? Now, he's not saying that definitively, but certainly there's a pattern that exists here right now where homeownership is getting to be a bit of a challenge.
It is a challenge, very much so. Not only inventory, but interest rates and prices.
So do we climb? I mean, for sellers, this is going to be awesome. But do you see an area or period where things will not be as difficult?
Well, it depends. I wouldn't say all the time it's awesome for sellers anymore. We're starting to see a little bit of a shift. We really are.
In what way?
We're starting to see properties stay on the market a little longer because sellers are expecting multiple offers at a higher price point.
Oh, I see.
And buyers are a little bit gun shy and they kind of pull back.
Things are changing again, right?
They are changing. They are. But that's not necessarily going to change the fact that your daughter is going to have a problem buying or selling eventually a home.
You know, there's a part of me, and I said this for a long time, and I needed that money to put the down payment on the home I'm in right now. But man, there is a part of me that wishes that I would have held on to that home in the city and then rented it to my kids, you know, because if they end up, they're both living outside of St. Louis, but because then you know start to think, well, how could they have an opportunity to even buy a home? Now circumstances change, and you know salaries change as well. I remember when I was 25, 26 years old, I didn't think I'd ever be able to own a home. Now, mainly, Christina, because I worked in radio and I made no money whatsoever. But honestly, I'm like, I there was a period in my life I'm like, it's just not going to happen.
Well, real estate is cyclical. Eventually, we'll come out of this. It's just not going to be as aggressively coming out of it as we have seen before.
Yep, we got to adapt. Tell folks where they can find the podcast.
Anywhere there are podcasts, Spotify, Apple, Podbean. You can go to my website, click on there, and see it as well.
Well, thanks for coming in.
Thank you.
Do you like? Can we talk about Vegas a little bit here?
Sure,
So
absolutely.
you're doing real estate in Vegas
I am.
now.
I'm brokered in Vegas, in Nevada.
And you know that's like my home away from home.
I know, I
right?
do. I think about you almost every time I go there.
I love Las Vegas so much, but you know, this has been one of those years where I just haven't gotten out as much, unfortunately, just because of some complications with my life. But I love it because, and it's not just the gambling. Like, I don't even gamble that much anymore at all. But the food is spectacular.
There's
the
so much to
shows,
do.
the music. But here's one thing I would say about Vegas that I've told people, because it's one of those places, I think a lot of people do this. You know, I've been to Louisville quite a bit. And I'm like, you know what, I could live here. I like the vibe of Louisville or you know, Nashville.
Yeah.
And I could say that I could live out west and I could live in Las Vegas, but it is getting so crowded out there. Everything's Manchester Road in Las Vegas.
Yes.
So you can get on the highways, and the highways are fine, the interstates, but a lot of what you have to do is go on 3-4 lane roads, and there's lights, and the lights are like 5 minutes. The infrastructure is an issue out there, isn't it?
Well, it's even worse now because they're doing Formula One.
Oh, yeah, they're already starting that's coming up on Thanksgiving, right?
Right,
yeah.
on Las Vegas Boulevard. It is crazy. They're going to shut down half of it, and then they're building the NFL stadium. I mean,
Major Baseball.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, for
baseball,
the A's. Right. Allegiant is the NFL, but yeah, look, there's a lot going on. And I kind of forgot about F1 because that was such a big deal last year. It took them like 2 months to tear it down, and now it's taken them 2 months to build it up again. So 4 months out of the year, the Strip is in a very, very strange place because of Formula One. Well, it's still fun out there. Enjoy the time. Thank you for coming in, talking about some spooky things on the podcast. Might have fit a little bit better before Halloween, but that's because the election was so crowded.
I get it.
Good to see you. Thanks for coming in.
Always good to be here.
Appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
Matt Pauley's going to talk some sports. Coming up.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely on advertisements.
If you've been hurt on the job, you don't need the biggest law firm. You need the best. Onder Law, voted 2023's best law firm in St. Louis, is the insurance company playing games, trying to deny the medical treatment you need, refusing to pay your lost wages. Let Onder Law fight for the benefits you deserve. Injured on the job? Call Onder Law for free. 314 or 618-9-million. That's 314 or 618-9, all zeros.
Completion of an online consultation with an independent healthcare provider and are only available if prescribed. Subscription required. Additional restrictions apply. See website for more details and safety information.
Did you know millions of people are getting prescription medications for weight loss, sexual health, better sleep, and more, all online? RexMD.com has made getting these medications fast and easy, with free delivery of the most popular medications right to your door. Just fill out a brief survey, and if appropriate, we'll prescribe and ship clinically proven options to help with issues like weight loss.
I've lost 45 pounds so far. It's nice to get back into clothes that I haven't been able to wear for a long time.
We can also help with insomnia.
I slept through the whole night. It made me feel very well rested and ready to go for the day.
And RexMD can improve your sexual health.
I felt like a young man again. My wife is happier. I am definitely much happier.
At RexMD.com, we've made the process fast, easy, and affordable. Visit RexMD.com right now to get started. That's REXMD.com.
Hey, it's Mark Reardon from my friends at ThrottleNet, and you've probably heard George Rosenthal from ThrottleNet on the show. He's a technology whiz, and George and his team can educate you and your business on the dangers lurking with technology. Here's a unique opportunity along those lines. Does your company have a lunch and learn or guest speakers? For a limited time, ThrottleNet is providing free lunch and learns to provide cybersecurity awareness training. One click can cause a ton of damage to your business. ThrottleNet is determined to make sure that doesn't happen. And if it does, they're the cybersecurity experts who can help. ThrottleNet is known for high customer satisfaction, averaging 99% happiness with over 35,000 surveys. They have an industry-leading response time of less than 2 minutes. And no clients of ThrottleNet have ever paid ransom as a result of a cyber attack. Contact ThrottleNet at throttlenet.com/971 and we can schedule your free company lunch. Don't miss out. Find out more today about ThrottleNet at throttlenet.com/971.
You know, the next couple of months are prime time for trimming and pruning your trees with Hanson's Tree Service. Insect and disease stress drops drastically with the weather change. Mark Cox here from my friends at Hanson's. Call them at 636-379-1830. It's a great time of year to add a fresh ring of mulch around your trees. You can order their products and have them delivered online at hansonstree.com or 636-379-1830 or go to any World Outdoor Emporium or Kirkwood Materials to pick up their products.
It's time for a $98 furnace tune-up.
This portion of the show is sponsored by Jerry Kelly Heating and Air.
Now it's time for the Aftermath Analysis. Keep it here post-election to get details and commentary on everything the mainstream media isn't reporting on. Democracy 2024. The vision and strategy for 2025 is here.
St. Louis.
I hit the wrong thing there. That wasn't good. We have audio cut of the day coming up. The whole team will be here tomorrow. Fred and Sue are off today. Ethan Hannaford is producing the show. He's going to pop in on us here because we have Matt Pauley from down the hall on the KMOX side, the Cardinals Radio Network. We have not chatted in a while. I figured this was a good opportunity. Matt, how are you?
I'm good.
Good to see you, dude. It's been a while since we've chatted anything sports, hasn't it? You know, one of the reasons is because you and I, at the beginning of the baseball season, were talking quite a bit about the Cardinals. And as I remember it, wasn't a great season. We didn't really. Don't take it personally that we didn't invite you back a bunch. We just didn't talk much about Cardinals. I know you hate me.
It's okay. You can admit it.
I just couldn't bring myself to talk about the Cardinals, and it was painful because I really love baseball and I depend on baseball for entertainment. And let me just start there. And Ethan, you can jump in as well because you know you have thoughts about the Cardinals as well. Let's start with baseball, and I do want to cover Mizzou and the Blues and a couple other things here. But is there? What kind of hope could you paint for a Cardinals fan right now for next season?
For next season?
That's tough, isn't it?
Yeah, it is tough because the payroll's coming down. I will say this. When John Mozeliak spoke at the GM meetings last week, and I wasn't there, so all I could do is read the quotes, I thought his tone was a little bit different, and they signed their new TV deal, and it's a 23% cut in revenue for TV. That sounds like a lot compared to what else is going on in baseball and the other Bally markets that are not getting actual TV deals and are going with their in-house produced stuff. Cardinals are in a pretty good spot. Just the 23% pay cut is probably about as good as it could be. And gambling, just barely passing.
Barely.
Yeah. Those are, so one revenue stream is cut not quite as much as it could have been, and another revenue stream is being created.
So that helps.
Yeah, I listened to John Mozeliak, and reading those quotes, I thought his tone was just a little bit different. Obviously, payroll's going down. I think one more big contract gets moved, likely Nolan Arenado, but the doom and gloom, everybody's getting traded, it's going to be a double-A team. I don't think that's going to be the case for next year, and I think if you squint a little bit, you can see them being as good as they were this year, which stinks when they're going for it, but when they're in the middle of kind of a reset with the idea in years moving forward, they're going to be able to compete at a higher level. Honestly, if they're in playoff contention and maybe sneak into the playoffs next year with no real shot of going on a playoff run, I think that'd be a nice season next season.
But what do we know at this point? We know that Paul Goldschmidt has declared for free agency, right?
Yeah, and they're not talking to him.
Yeah, right. So he's going to move
gone.
on, unfortunately, and it's disappointing because we loved him. He's been a great, Cardinal, and we couldn't bring home a championship for him or Arenado. We know that Wilson Contreras is going to move to first base, right?
Yep.
Thoughts on that?
I like it because it keeps his bat in the lineup potentially if it worked. The idea is he's going to have the potential to be healthier more of the season. He has missed so much time, especially this past season. And with all due respect to his defensive catching, which was perfectly fine. It was, people are used to Yadier Molina. It wasn't Yadi, but what he did defensively as a catcher this past season was fine. But he's not here for his defense as a catcher. He's here for his bat. And when you look at his numbers, he's a top 5, top 6 offensive first baseman. There seems to be this feeling that, oh, well, his offensive catcher is great, but if you move him to first base, it's not good anymore. That is not correct. His offense stands up quite well. I mean, once you get past the Freddie Freemans and the other top tier, maybe future Hall of Fame type first baseman, Contreras is right there.
So my reaction when I first heard about this as just an uneducated sports fan, Scotty Warren was on last week, and I kind of liked it. And then he threw all kinds of cold water on it. But from the defensive perspective, because and I think his points were well taken. This is a position where we might, especially after looking at Goldschmidt for these past years, he makes it look easy.
Yeah, Contreras will not be as good of a defensive first baseman as Goldschmidt was. There may not be a better active defensive first baseman than Paul Goldschmidt right now. He's one of the best. But Contreras is going to work really hard. He's athletic enough to block balls behind the plate. He's going to know what it takes. He put so much work in. You think of who he was defensively as a catcher in Chicago and what he became in St. Louis. He did that with work, and bluntly, he did that with work where he didn't have a lot of help from the Cardinals because they don't have a catching instructor and things like that. The infrastructure that they need wasn't there. So
that's interesting.
He was doing most of that just on his own. So Again, when you put it up against Paul Goldschmidt, the defense is going to take a step back, but he's not going to be a bad defensive first baseman.
So who is then the starting catcher, or is it truly a competition between Páez and Herrera?
Yeah, I think it's going to be that. If you base it off the playing time from this past year, it certainly seemed like the team was more comfortable with Pedro Páez. If you base it off offensive potential, Ivan Herrera's bat can be a middle-of-the-order bat. So that's going to be one of the big questions for the Cardinals in spring training. Do they go with the guy who's better defensively in Páez, or do they go with the guy who can be a real plus bat in the lineup?
I like the bat in the lineup.
We switched to the battery. Talking about the battery here, switching to the pitching side of things. We know that Lance Lynn and Kyle Gibson likely aren't returning. With the player options not being, or the club options not being taken. What are your thoughts on what the starting rotation is going to look like next year? We know that Sonny Gray wants to stay, but then you got some ugly contracts right now with Michaelis and Matz, but they want to go younger. It seems kind of backwards for trying to build forward with a young squad.
Right now, if you look at the rotation, it goes Gray, Fedde, Palante, Michaelis, maybe Matz, maybe McGreevy. I don't even know if there's room for a Graceffo. Eventually, Quinn Matthews is going to get there. I feel like there's got to be another spot or two opened up for some young guys. I want to see Gordon Graceffo get that chance. I want to see Quinn Matthews when he's ready for there to be a door for him to walk through. So I actually wouldn't be shocked if this team maybe trades Eric Fedde. There seems to be some speculation out there that he could really be a valuable piece for teams that maybe come up short in terms of trying to acquire starting pitching via free agency. So if they moved on from him, maybe that opens up something. I'd love to see the team get out from underneath the contracts of Steven Matz and Miles Michaelis. I think it's a little bit easier with Matz than Michaelis. If you move on from Michaelis, you have to pay a ton of his salary. And he's got a no trade. He's very comfortable in St. Louis. He gets to sleep in his own bed when he's at spring training. There's a lot of things going against being able to trade Miles Michaelis.
So what about, you mentioned Arenado before. I mean, I think right now it looks like he has to approve of the trade, but there might be trade possibilities that might come up over the winter, right?
Yeah, I think there's a few spots that you can see how it would work. He would work probably pretty well in Houston. They could use somebody over at third base. There's been some rumble. I don't think he would love to go east unless it's an obvious World Series championship type situation. So people mention Boston. I don't see that so much. People mention Philadelphia, maybe, because Philadelphia is a really good team. Obviously, he would love to go to L.A. and be with the Dodgers, but they got Max Muncy over there, and they would have to move some things around. Not that they can't, but they would have to move some things around for him. I think he likely gets moved. I would caution Cardinals fans on this because he still has, even with the Rockies picking up some of his salary this upcoming season, there's still a hefty amount of money connected to Arenado's contract. Don't think that if the Cardinals trade Nolan Arenado that there's going to be this heavy influx of prospects coming back for him. This would be more of a salary dump than anything else.
So then that would maybe raise it. What would be wrong with keeping him?
they want to go young. They want to give guys an opportunity.
Could you have got more from him at the trade deadline over the summer, though?
Maybe, but they were in a different spot then.
Okay.
His value was
kind
also
of.
so low because of how poorly he was playing.
Well, that's
too.
true.
I mean,
Yeah,
you're hoping that he improves and that maybe that increases a little bit.
But if you are going to be John Mozeliak and company and talk about we're going to open up opportunities for younger players, well, then you got to open up opportunities for younger players. And when Wilson Contreras becomes your first baseman, that closes off an opportunity because that could have been Alec Burleson and Lucan Baker. So right now you're looking at second and third. J.J. Weatherholt's going to be your second baseman at some point probably in the next 12 months. So that opens up third. And you've got Nolan Gorman, Brendan Donovan, Thomas Sajaci. I'm probably missing guys off the top of my head. You got to open up a situation somewhere.
So how Matt and I both spent a fair amount of time in Milwaukee. I was there a long time ago. You were there more recently. But how did they do it?
They invest in infrastructure, they invest in technology, and they invest in people. And when I'm talking about people, I'm not talking about players. I'm talking about support staff. You know, the Katie Wu of The Athletic had an article.
I talked about it a lot. That really was eye-opening because it talked about all these support people that other teams have that we don't have.
Yeah, so I worked in minor league baseball for a really long time, and I worked in the Royals organization, the Rockies organization, the Brewers organization. And almost always there'd be some sort of roving instructor that was flying in and planting their flag with the team for a little while. And there aren't enough guys in the Cardinals organization roving around. When Jordan Walker got sent back to AAA this past year, the Cardinals should have had a roving outfield instructor that they could have sent to Memphis and just had there to work with him defensively. When he was up in the big leagues working with Willie McGee every day, he was getting so much better defensively. That all went away when he went down to Memphis. The Cardinals have to have people that they can go send to places throughout the minor leagues to help guys get better.
So what happens to that guy? Like Jordan Walker and a couple of the other names that we were expecting to be potential superstars. Now, we can't pass over Mason Wynn because, holy mo, that guy, he's doing his job, right? And he's going to be here for a while. But what about Jordan Walker? And I'm forgetting another name.
Nolan Gorman's
too.
probably the other guy that you put in there. Look, there's a lot of pressure on this organization to have people in place to help unlock these guys. Brant Brown's the new hitting coach. He comes in with a pretty solid pedigree on working with guys. There's going to be other hires. There's going to be other infrastructure that's put in. But the number one goal, I think, for the Cardinals is to get Jordan Walker and Nolan Gorman back on the right path. And if they are,
man, I hope that's possible.
Everything else kind of fits in.
Right. If they are, that provides you with a lot of flexibility. But if they're not, then you almost are taking a step back.
Yeah. Offensively, you have Contreras at first. If Walker and Gorman take a step forward, that more than makes up with whatever you're losing in Arenado and Goldschmidt.
Let's talk a little bit other sports. We touched on this with Frank and the Blues, but that was not a good weekend for the Blues, right?
Just terrible. And I want the Blues to be good so badly. Like that's the team that I can just sit there and be a fan of. I don't really I talk about them, but I'm not at games covering them and things like that very often. I just want them to be good. And this I hate saying this, but to me, the core of this team are the guys that last year got a really good coach fired, and now they're just doing the same old you-know-what over again.
That's what it seems like.
Yeah.
How much do you have to take into consideration the loss of two of your big-name guys in Robert Thomas, Philip Broberg? I mean, the reason that I was so optimistic going into the season is because of the offer sheet additions that they made, and Broberg was so much promise to start off the year. How much does that not only obviously on ice, but also off the ice, just take it out of a team when your two immediate guys are gone like that?
Yeah, I wish you were asking me that question 3 weeks from now, because generally in sports, when you lose a key player or you lose key players, everybody else comes together for kind of a short amount of time, and they all lift their games and they play well, and you get kind of caught in this whole, there's this fool's gold of, oh, maybe they're going to be okay, and then that dissipates and eventually you kind of regress back to the mean. That didn't happen with the Blues. We didn't see any of that. These guys get injured, and we did not see everybody kind of coming together. So I understand what you're saying, Ethan, and I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying it's startling to me that after a major injury, we didn't see a bunch of guys find a different gear, even if it was just temporary.
What is your thought right now on the college football landscape? I've lost a little bit of track of Illinois because they had such a great season. What about Indiana? Oh, my gosh. Unbelievable story there. Mizzou survives one over the weekend. That was incredible. I just talked to Frank about Brady. I don't know if he's going to play against South Carolina. Mizzou has a couple of different paths. They could lose the next 3 games. They could win the next 3 games. Who knows what's going to happen?
Has there ever been a 7-2 team from the SEC that you have felt more poorly about?
No. No. Isn't that weird, though?
Yeah, it's crazy because the two really legit teams they've played, they just got run off the field. With no disrespect meant to Vanderbilt and BC, the other kind of 2 okay teams that they've matched up against. But the 2 really good teams just took care of them without a problem. Look, give credit. They found a way to win. It was that first half was ugly. It was
3 quarters of the game was about the most boring game I've ever seen.
All
it was
but about
3.5 minutes at
right?
the end. Yeah, that was it.
And then they score those and they get the scoop. And I mean, it was.
That was exciting. Yeah. And then you got the Chiefs game from yesterday. I mean, they just get so lucky, right? The other teams that hate, the fans of the teams that hate the Chiefs just have to be saying, man, what can we do differently, right?
Roger Goodell has a voodoo doll with whatever team that they're playing against. And, a walk-off blocked kick. When does that happen?
I know.
When does that happen?
I sat there, surprisingly, I was about to turn it off. I'm like, okay, I'm going to watch it. Maybe he'll shank it. It's a chip shot. And then they block it, which was just glorious. The other thing I talked to Frank about this game tonight, look, I think the LA Rams are going to be in contention here for the playoffs in a few weeks because they're getting healthier. And I think they're going to be I'm not a Rams fan. Don't get me wrong here. I was never a fan when they were here in St. Louis, but I think they're rounding into form right now because they're healthy.
You're probably right, but I hate them.
I know. A lot of people do. But I'm an NFL fan, Matt Pauley. What can I say?
You could see the hatred in his eyes.
Oh, I just hate them so much. Yeah. My favorite team every week is the team that the Rams are playing.
And I'm fine with that. In fact, tonight I would like Nakua to either get thrown out of the game. I don't want him to get injured. That's not a nice thing to say. But I'm facing him in fantasy football. And if he has a big game, I likely lose my game. So it's all about my fantasy football team.
That's all that matters.
Matt, what can I say?
What's your fantasy football team's name?
There was a... I used to ride a bike with a bunch of folks. Like some of them were really good road racers, and we had these jerseys that were created years ago that were invented to create confusion among other cyclists. And we had like very stealth jerseys that were called Special Ops. So people would see us and like, oh man, what's that? Big Shark Special Ops. So my team is called Special Ops because of that jersey from many years ago. Now, there's a long explanation of why I call it that, but that's the name of it.
Okay, that's good.
But people come up with, my name's not very creative. People come up with really creative names in fantasy football.
We're fans of the Mass Singer in the Pauley household, so mine is the Mass Kicker.
Oh,
yes.
Ethan, what's your team name?
Team Hanny. All of them.
Oh,
Team
there you
Hanny.
go. Yeah, mine is just consistent with Special Ops. Now, since we brought up fantasy and Sue's not here, she'd be rolling her eyes. Most of the audience will be. So I have 3 leagues that I'm in, right? In the league that I got an A+ in my draft, I suck completely.
Yeah.
In the league that I got a D in my draft, I suck completely. In the draft where I had a C-, I'm actually been doing really well, but I need to win tonight. So it's just so funny.
The algorithm doesn't know how good you're going to be at the beginning of the season.
And it's just, sometimes it's just ridiculous. Look, I've had, who's been killing it for me? Saquon, except not yesterday.
Yeah.
And Jalen had and I have him in another league, but I needed Barkley to step up. So, but fantasy football's fun. I just would like to maybe finish in the money one of these years for sure. Matt, it's great to see you. How's the family?
They're good. I got the 5-month-old has not been sleeping a lot lately, so I haven't been sleeping a lot lately.
Oh, kind of went into the other direction?
Yeah, did the sleep regression thing, which
that
was
happens.
not fun. Yeah.
Right.
That 5-hour energy going, baby.
I have a new grandson down in Houston who will be here in just a few weeks for Thanksgiving. He is, he's like 10 weeks old now, I think, which is hard to believe.
How many times have you seen him? Just the one time?
Just once. Okay. Unfortunately, I went down there for the weekend a few weekends ago, and then they're coming in for Thanksgiving. It's not an easy place to get to with your car because it's a pretty long drive, and then throwing airfare together in short notice with 3 people is tough as well. But it was great. Yeah, we're looking forward to Thanksgiving for sure. But, Matt, thanks for coming in. We always love talking a little sports here and fantasy football with Ethan here as well. He's the voice of the Lindenwood football team. They had a big win over the weekend, too, over SEMO.
Yeah.
How about that?
Not too
Matthew,
bad.
we'll see you soon.
All right.
Take care. Audio cut of the day coming up.
Guys, it's time to take charge of your health with my friends at Victory Men's Health. Mark Cox here. I already love what they do at Victory. They do hormone optimization, sexual health, weight loss, even vitamin deficiencies. Now they're offering specialty cardiovascular testing and even early detection cancer screening. Visit them at one of their 4 great locations, now in Sunset Hills, Town and Country, O'Fallon, Missouri, and O'Fallon, Illinois. Tell them Mark Cox sent you. Go to victorymenshealth.com.
Join Friends of Kids with Cancer for their 30th annual fashion show and boutique on Thursday, November 21st at the Ritz-Carlton, St. Louis. Childhood cancer patients are treated to a red carpet fashion experience as they dance and strut down the runway. With celebrity guests, auctions, raffles, and boutique shopping, it's a joyous day to help Friends provide programs and services to families facing childhood cancer. Luncheon and dinner shows are available. Learn more at friendsofkids.org. That's friendsofkids.org.
Attention veterans and active military. Overhead Door Company of St. Louis is doubling their usual veterans discount on all products and services in November. That means veterans and active military get 10% off all month at Overhead Door Company of St. Louis, 10% off all doors, openers, and any service or repair. Details on their website. Schedule your annual garage door tune-up before winter really sets in. Just call 314-781-5200 or schedule online at overheaddoorsstlouis.com.
Financial health is more than just really the investments. You have to look at tax consequences. You have to think about legacy planning or generational planning or your healthcare options. Those all go together with your financial health.
Join Matt Goolsby for Retire Hour to hear his team in finance, healthcare, estate, and taxes discuss changes in law, strategic planning, and answer listener questions. Submit your questions to be answered live on air at retirehour.com. Retire Hour, Sundays at 7 a.m., right here on KFTK.
Hey, it's Annie, and I'm inviting you to celebrate the spooky season with the Diamond Shop. 50% off all Blackstone jewelry throughout the entire month of October. Trade in and trade up. All diamond studs purchased at the Diamond Shop are eligible for the Trade Up event. Just spend $1 more and your entire purchase price of your diamond studs will be credited towards your new purchase when you trade in. Located in Clayton and serving St. Louis since 1910, shop this October at the Diamond Shop. TheDiamondShop.net.
You've been listening to the very popular Wellness One for many years, Saturdays and Sundays on 97.1 FM Talk. We're happy to share that we've expanded the show to 4 times a week. Yes, 4 times every weekend. Saturday at 10 a.m., Saturday at 8 p.m., Sunday at 9 a.m., and Sunday at 2 p.m. It's the same great show designed to cut through the nonsense and provide you a common sense, science-based strategy for a healthy life. So join TJ and Aaron for Wellness One. Now 4 times a week on 97.1 FM Talk.
The Mark Cox Morning Show.
Well, Senator Josh Hawley, obviously right now we're looking at leadership in the Senate now that you guys have clearly regained it. Who are you putting your vote behind?
Well, I'm going to support Senator John Cornyn.
The Mark Cox Morning Show.
On St. Louis's home for conservative talk.
I decided earlier this afternoon, Fred and Sue aren't here, and a lot of people are off because of the holiday. I do have some stories that I want to share from the weekend with interactions with some folks on the election. I'm going to save that for tomorrow. We'll probably do it at 3 o'clock in the monologue. But I do want to kind of update people on a few things here. And this was a story, if you go back to Friday in my audio cut of the day, I featured some audio that I'm going to replay here because I have a little bit more to add to the list. So this is let's see if I can figure out before I totally launch into this here. Let me see if I can figure out exactly where this was. I think this might have been California, but I'm not sure. It really doesn't matter. This is an 82-year-old woman who I'm going to play her version of the story first, and then we'll tell you what happened. So she claims that she was, well, she kind of admits that she was starting some of this with a Trump supporter who had brown skin, a Hispanic. I'm sorry, Latinx. Oh, forgive me for those of you who were triggered. You don't think that has something to do with Hispanic people voting for Republicans, that you're calling them Latinx or Latinx? I think it does. So this woman, and this is all on a body camera from a police officer, got into it with a Trump supporter because she didn't like the fact that the Trump supporter was brown. And the Trump supporter having brown skin was racist. And she doesn't like racism. You think I'm making this up? Check it out.
I want to know why you're voting for Trump. That's the only reason I want to know. That's the only thing. And
And I said, because you're brown skin. I mean, I know that that's what's going to happen to people in this country. I hate the racism in this country. I hate how people are treated. Okay? And so I'm wondering, why would somebody with brown skin support this man?
So you can kind of hear it. The audio's a little hard to hear. She's saying, I hate the racism. I hate because she is the white arbiter of what racism is and what racism shouldn't be. So how can someone of brown skin, how could they support Donald Trump? I'm outraged by this. So she interacts with this woman.
And that was my question. And she immediately started screaming racist, came in with her face right up to me, just screaming at the top of her voice. And my response was to push her away, and I put my hand to her chin, and I pushed on her shoulder.
All right, so that's why the cop got there, and I'll kind of play the other person's version of the story here in a second, but she went on because the cop's asking questions.
Everyone has their point of views.
Oh, I realize that, but listen, I don't go with that any longer. When we have Nazis and racism becoming the predominant thing, turning people against each other, that to me is criminal. We are really endangered right now. And I don't understand why people don't understand that.
If that's your stance, how does it look that you're placing hands onto someone else with different views? It doesn't support your
It's
side.
anger. It's anger.
Yeah, okay, thank you. It's anger. She's angry. She's angry that Trump won. She's angry that anyone could have any thoughts that are opposite of hers. So this is the woman who was attacked.
So she came up to me and she read my shirt and she said, you know that God doesn't like guns. And I said, well, I'm not voting for Trump to be my...
So I'm going to qualify this because she was wearing a shirt that referred to God and guns, and that's why she said that. So I apologize. Let's start that again.
So she came up to me and she read my shirt and she said, you know that God doesn't like guns. And I said, well, I'm not voting for Trump to be my pastor. And then she says, and you should know better.
Did she get up in your face?
Oh, yeah.
How close
okay,
was
so
she?
she was right there.
Okay.
And then she said, you should know better. I said, why? Because I'm my skin color? I said, you're a racist. And then she came up and she pushed me.
Okay.
And then she hit me in my freaking chin.
Like close fist, open
like
fist?
close fist. I mean, she obviously didn't hurt me, but it's like, you know what? You have the freedom of speech. You can say whatever you want. You can't touch me.
Do you want to press charges?
Absolutely. Yeah, because she cannot. That makes me nervous.
No, I agree.
You can't do that.
Yeah, so she's pressing charges, and they're actually, look, this hate crime thing is just a bunch of crap. It's always been a bunch of crap. I hate the whole notion of a hate crime. But you know what? The left loves it, right? They love the hate crime enhancer. So let's slap a hate crime enhancer on to this 82-year-old woman and teach her a lesson because it's revolting what's happening out there. Now, for the actual audio cut of the day, I'll do this here because I think that you have a situation, and we'll get into this a little bit more tomorrow. Boy, the legacy media, just when they've been taught a very, very hard lesson by 70 million Americans, they still don't get it.
Stand by. Playback ready. Now, the audio cut of the day.
Okay, so here is a PBS reporter. We should absolutely, one of the first things that Trump should do is pull the funding from NPR and PBS. I have high hopes that it's going to happen. Maybe because they didn't get it, right? Like this.
One thing that I think stands out also, we can't have this conversation, a little bit to your point, Dana, is that maybe it's not so much Democrats' policies or messaging or the words that they use specifically, but there is an entire right-wing media ecosystem that doesn't exist on the left, and it does not exist in the center or mainstream, and people are getting their information in very different ways now.
Okay, let's really, all of a sudden they're going to point to a different ecosystem that is on the right. Give me a break. But this is what they're doing. Oh, yes, we were overpowered. We didn't see this coming from the Joe Rogans and the new media. By the way, everybody that is in new media started their new media because the legacy media sucked so badly that they had to do something, like Barry Weiss at the New York Times. She left because they were reckless, irresponsible, embarrassing, and they weren't actually doing journalism. They were living on an agenda, which is exactly what PBS and NPR does, right? She goes on with her crap.
Donald Trump and Republicans and Elon Musk and Joe Rogan know exactly how to reach Americans where they are, regardless of age and demographic, and that played a big role in this.
How about you as CNN or PBS? How about you go throughout America? I've talked about this idea for years. Put a bureau in, Branson, Missouri, or Tulsa, Oklahoma, or Little Rock, Arkansas. Talk to real Americans that aren't full of hate in bigotry. They just want to afford their grocery bills. They won't do that. Here's Willie Geist, Out of Touch NBC.
Jim Vandehei, I want to go back to something Derek Johnson, the head of the NAACP, said a few minutes ago on this show, because you've always been sort of the leading edge of where media is going with Politico, now with Axios. You understand the environment so well. How do Democrats, and frankly, how does legacy media need to change the way it thinks about getting information? I mean, a lot of the voters who went out and voted for Donald Trump, that so many people are wondering what happened here, they're not watching, frankly, this show. They're not reading the New York Times. They're not consuming media that way. And the Trump campaign found those voters where they live. So how do Democrats need to change the way they communicate to voters, if you think that's part of the problem?
For sure. I mean, I think all of us have to come to grips with legacy media is just not as important as it thinks it is.
Well, one of the reasons for that is that you've lost the trust of the American people. I think they're still consuming your BS. They just don't believe it. They don't buy it, which is part of the problem. Here's another CNN person.
Because they think the Democrats are just repeating like a rigid ideology that they haven't thought through. They see the left, which they would consider CNN a part of. Of course, we don't see it that way, right?
Mm-hmm.
But as having this rigid repetition of ideology that they haven't thought through.
I love the fact that she says, see, that was somebody who worked on CNN. She goes, well, they see it as left. Well, yeah, we see it as left because the only person that's on there outside of someone that has an agenda for the left is Scott Jennings. That's all you got. You got one guy on there that's been the token Republican, kicking their asses, by the way, on CNN and taking names later. And by the way, I mentioned that somebody put a highlight reel together of Jennings. I just put it up on the Twitter. All right, here's one more. I think this one was on MSNBC.
Particularly the media ecosystem it's not a good one, it's a negative one, it's a radicalization funnel. But what they have done in their online media ecosystem is build a radicalization engine.
Oh my God, this is another one of my favorites. Do you think that defund the police and all this other nonsense, lighting American cities on fire with gaslighting from the St. Louis Post-Dispatch, the New York Times, the Washington Post, you don't think that what they've done to themselves? Talk about the indoctrination. The indoctrination is clear on the papers or the pages of American newspapers every single day. It's agenda journalism. They have lost the faith in the Fourth Estate. Part of this is a rejection, a complete and utter, total rejection of the Fourth Estate. And they don't even get it. They don't understand it whatsoever, which is kind of awesome. Here's Bill Maher.
Just made me think. I'm sure every single member of the Saturday Night Live cast was a Harris supporter. But what if one of them wasn't? What if one of those cast members was for Trump? Would they have felt comfortable saying so? I really don't think so. They would have had to keep it to themselves. That's not a good place for us to be.
It's not a good place for us to be, but that is exactly the place we're in. And when we get back here tomorrow with Sue and Fred and the whole gang, I have a bunch of screen captures from some messages, some Facebook posts, and some other things that have happened in a group of friends that I think is very, very revealing about what people on the left feel right now. Look, I'll just be honest with you. There were people that were flat out suggesting, I've seen this on Twitter too, that maybe folks on the left should signal to one another that they're on the same team and that they're not xenophobic and misogynistic and bigoted and all these other words, right? They should wear blue wristbands to show everyone who they are and to show it as a warning for those of us who voted for the winner and are about to make this country change again. We're back tomorrow at 3 o'clock. Have a great Monday night.
Catch anything you missed today by getting the show podcast at 971talk.com.
If you needed one more reason to choose Diamonds Direct over any other jeweler, get this. Diamonds Direct maintains involvement in the entire diamond process and handpicks the best just for you. You see, any jeweler can claim to be a direct importer or have so-called partnerships overseas, but Diamonds Direct has special access that others simply don't have. Nobody can get closer to the source than Diamonds Direct. Indeed, Diamonds Direct is recognized in the industry as a world diamond powerhouse with unrivaled buying power and decades of inside connections that go back to their roots as actual diamond cutters. Bottom line, Diamonds Direct is without question the jeweler here that can truly offer the absolute best value. We're true talking direct importer prices on hand-selected diamonds that come straight from the source. Make no mistake, Diamonds Direct refuses to be undersold on GIA certified diamonds. And we challenge you, let us prove it. Diamonds Direct.